Are we just going with 3 board members? Oh,
We need one more board member.
Let me follow this.
Okay.
The judge, I received a message from the board member Lam, who is ill, and in order to not expose anyone and to accommodate her illness, member Lam has asked to attend remotely due to the medical emergency, which arose last night. This is allowed pursuant to the government code 54953. So do I have a motion to approve the request to accommodate member Lam and allow her to appear by Zoom? Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
A second.
Okay, roll call, Mr. Song
I'm here.
and Mrs.
Aye.
Gear.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Chen, aye. Okay, motion carry.
Okay. And is she going to participate by Zoom?
Okay, so right now, Dr. Choi, please, walk the. to
Yes,
make,
I see Mrs. Lam on Zoom. May I go ahead and begin the session?
Okay, and then I start to the meeting.
Actually, I see Mrs. Lam on Zoom, but I'd like to verify. Mrs. Lam,
please
can you
verify.
go ahead and unmute and acknowledge that you are able to hear and see us?
We're doing a roll. call.
I am here and I can see you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. This call to the order, I would like to do a roll call. Mrs. Lam,
Here,
Mr. Song,
Present.
Mrs. Gear,
Here.
Mr. Chen here. Okay, let's stand up to the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, approve of today's agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Roll call, Mr. Song,
Aye.
Mrs. Lam,
aye.
Mrs. Gear,
Aye.
Mr. Chen. Aye, motion carry. 7, public comment. The Board of Education has adopted the board policy 9323B to ensure the public's right to be heard in any matter pertaining to the San Marino Unified School District. Person who wish to provide a public comment will have a 3 options to submit a public comment. First, submit through an online form. If we have any submission via the online form.
We received no submissions.
Second, request to speak during the meeting via the Zoom. Dr. Choi, please post the meeting to collect the public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chang. We are pausing for 1 minute to take requests to speak regarding matters that are on the agenda. If you'd like to make a request to speak, please press the raise hand icon. And if you are joining by phone, please press *9 to make the request. Thirty seconds remain. If you'd like to make a request to speak, please press the raise hand icon or dial *9.
Okay. Do you have more?
No, that's it. It's still
We're still
collecting.
pausing for 10 more seconds, Judge. Okay, President Chang, there are no requests.
Okay, thank you. Next, 3, request to speak during the meeting in person. via the public comment card. Do we have any public comment card now? Okay, thank you. Okay, next. At this time, I would like to turn it over to the judge moderator.
Thank you. I think when we left off yesterday, Dr. De La Torre was on the stand. Are we through with her testimony now, or?
We are through with her testimony and we've called all our witnesses other than Ms. Escamilla, who has refused to testify.
Okay. Did you have any other further questions of her?
Not of Dr. De La Torre, no, no, sir.
Okay. Okay, who's gonna call the next witness?
You're on.
Please, I'm sorry, your name, Amaris? Amaris. Ma'am, last name is Bell, B-E-L-L. Okay.
Would you raise your right hand to be sworn, please? You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Thank you. And state your name for the record, please.
Amaris Bell.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. Bell. That's probably pretty simple to spell, but go ahead and spell your last name for the record.
It's B as in boy, E-L-L.
Thank you. Are you currently employed?
Yes.
And where are you employed and what do you do?
I am a board certified psychiatric nurse practitioner,
And where do you practice?
in Las Vegas, Nevada.
And is that your current state and city of residence at this time?
Yes.
In approximately May of 2018, did you meet a man by the name of Nathaniel Turner?
Yes.
Show you what we'll mark as exhibit 3. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And who is that pictured there?
That's Nate Turner.
Would you hold that up for the members of the board, please? Thanks. In approximately September of 2018, you and Mr. Turner were boyfriend and girlfriend, correct?
Correct.
Where did you live at that time?
In Lakewood, California,
What was the address, if you remember?
5516 Graywood Avenue.
Did you own or rent that residence?
I owned that property.
By approximately, did you own it outright by yourself?
Yes.
No co-owners?
No.
By approximately December of 2018, did Mr. Turner regularly stay at the Graywood Avenue residence with you?
Yes.
Please describe for the board how your relationship developed with Mr. Turner in 2019 and thereafter.
Jacked as irrelevant to these proceedings.
Overruled. You may answer.
So in January, he was very convincing. He talked me into signing over my house to him, stating that we were going to get married and all of these things that we had talked about that he had promised me. So I agreed. And then from there, it just, I mean, it was normal, like a natural relationship at first. But then, after that, it became much different.
And when you say you signed over the house, did you actually sign a quitclaim deed of your residence at Graywood Avenue over to Mr. Turner?
Yes,
And in 2019 and 2020, were you assisting him with his, he was trying to get a master's degree at that time, right?
yes.
Were you assisting him with that?
I don't know if I would be assisting. I pretty much did everything, but yes,
And then did you have a full-time job at that time?
I did.
And did you pay your own debts as well as Mr. Turner's?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, I'm going to object again as irrelevant. I understand you've overruled it, but it's a running objection to this witness.
Overruled. You may answer.
Now, I want to turn your attention to August of 2020. You had to head out of town to Texas for COVID relief work. Is that correct?
Correct.
Please describe for the board what happened the day before you left.
So I had got a call that I was going to go to Texas to work. They said that I needed to buy black scrubs. So I called him, I let him know, hey, I'm gonna go to the store and go buy some black scrubs.
I'm sorry, black, oh, scrubs?
Scrubs to wear.
Gotcha.
So he had got upset because I didn't ask him permission to go to the store. So before I left the house, he pulled up in the driveway. He was very upset. I had just explained to him, I'm just gonna go buy some scrubs. At that point, I don't know why, but he just decided that he was gonna start to hit me and slap me in the car. I started to scream. I got out of the car, I ran into the house. He followed me into the house. At that point, he pretty much attacked me. He was sitting on top of me. I was on the floor. I was crying. I was kicking. I was screaming. And he told me that he was going to suffocate me like George Floyd. This is about around the same time. I had several scratches on me, a bruise on my face, or like a red mark on my face. I don't even know how long it lasted, but it was very unexpected and very violent. And I was terrified.
Now, other than a 1-month return at the end of 2020, you were out of town until April of 2021, correct?
Yes.
I want to draw your attention to August of 2021, when you confronted Mr. Turner about paying for some car repairs. What happened on that occasion?
We had a credit card together, and I had found out that he had used my credit card, basically that I was paying for, to pay for some repairs on a card of another woman that he was seeing or was, using, I don't know. So I confronted him about it, and he got very upset. Again, he started yelling at me, screaming at me. I had bought like a purse, and I had the bag of the purse, and he ripped the bag out of my hand, threw it across the living room, and just grabbed me again, threw me onto the floor. This time he was sitting on top of me, and like my face was down in like a rug, a very thick rug in the carpet. So like I could hardly breathe. He basically told me to take my hands, like I had my hands right here. He said, put them to my side so I wouldn't be able to like push myself off of the carpet. And at some point I rolled over, he grabbed my leg and he twisted my left knee and tore my MCL. I did go to the doctor after that, but again, I don't know how long it lasted, but when it was over, I mean, I was doing everything that I could to just even try and catch my breath. The next day, I had to go to an urgent care so I could get like a physical so I could go out of town again to work. And I had bruises all over my face. I had like kind of like blood, in the white part of your eye. And I could hardly walk. So I went to go get an x-ray of my knee, and then I ended up getting an MRI of my knee, and I did have a torn MCL.
Let me direct your attention now to March of 2022, the March-April timeframe of 2022. Can you describe generally what your relationship was like with Mr. Turner?
By that point, it was terrible. He was abusive every single day. He was yelling at me every single day. Like there's nothing, I wasn't allowed to leave the house. I didn't have keys to my car. I didn't have my old cell phone. He took from me. He took my laptop. He got me another cell phone, but I had no friends, no family, no way to contact anybody. I had nobody's number. He wouldn't let me drive. So he would drive me to work and pick me up. and he just controlled every aspect of my life. I had no way to go anywhere. Like he put a lock on the outside of the door, so I couldn't even get out of the house without him unlocking the door.
In April of 2022, did you have occasion to contact law enforcement regarding Mr. Turner?
I did.
What happened on that occasion?
So that earlier that day, he had picked me up from work, and he had found out that I was trying to just access my school email so I could see what was going on with my classes. He got upset in the car. He started beating me in the car. He slammed my head against the window. He was upset that he thought I was trying to, tell on him or something, but I was really just trying to get access to my school. And he was driving around in my car. He said that he was supposed to go to dinner with his baby mama's dad or something, and we were going to go. And he drove me from work to the restaurant. We sat down, we had dinner. After the restaurant, we were supposed to go out of town the next day. And I told him I needed some stuff from Target. So we were in the Target parking lot. And we walked inside Target. And at that point, I basically told him to F off and that I wasn't going anywhere with him. And he told me, he's like, well, if you leave or if you try to do anything, like I'm gonna come after you. And at that point, I didn't care anymore. And so it was like maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock. I don't know, Target was about to close. And so I called Sheriff's Department. Sheriff's Department came out. He was in the parking lot. I was in the parking lot because Target was closed. Sheriff showed up. They asked me if I called them. I said, yes, I did. He gets dramatic and gets on the ground. I don't know what that was about, but I just said, I want my keys and I want to leave. They ran the plates, found out that it was my car. They said, hey, you got to give her keys. He gave me my keys. I got in my car. I drove to my house. I grabbed my dog out of the yard and I left, and I never saw him again after that.
And I may be confused, or I may have confused you, but I was actually speaking of a different occasion when you may have called law enforcement actually to your residence at the Graywood property.
I called law enforcement to my residence at the Graywood property so this was after the Target incident, so I could get my belongings out of the house. And then when I showed up to the house with law enforcement, prior to that, they told me to meet them at the house. And so I drove to the house. He was actually walking out of the house turned out to be this same girl. And they were about to get in the car. And from what I saw, I thought I saw him pull a weapon. And I drove off. Then I called the police again. I let them know what had happened. There was this big fiasco. But by then I had already went to the court and filed a restraining order.
And you have a binder right there. If you could flip to Exhibit 2 and go to page Exhibit 2-60-260. Page 260, and then if you could just kind of flip through that all the way to page 271. At 271, is that your signature there?
Yes,
And do you recognize this document from 260 to 271 as your application for a restraining order against Nathaniel Turner filed on June 30th, 2023?
yes.
Let's go to page 277. And do you recognize this as the actual court restraining order that was entered by the court on June 30th, 2023?
Yes.
Then if you could go to page 286. There, your name appears to be typed in, also Nathaniel Turner's name as the restrained party. Do you recognize this as another court restraining order filed on August 15th, 2023?
Yes.
In March and April of 2022, you recorded a number of phone conversations with Mr. Turner. Is that correct?
I did.
And these recordings were pursuant to the court order of protection that allowed those recordings. Is that right?
Correct.
Let's go to Exhibit 297. Have you seen this document before?
Yes.
Is this a transcript of an April 2022 phone call between you and Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Your Honor and board members, I'm going to play the recording. The first part of the recording is very difficult to hear and basically is not going to be, you're not going to be able to hear it very well, but you can follow along on the transcript. And then kind of as the recording goes, it picks up much more clarity.
I'm going to object to the playing of the transcript. This document has been entered and no recording has been entered into evidence or agreed to as part of the admission yesterday.
Okay, I'll allow it.
But then you sit around and reflect back off the back, I know this is if you keep walking into the same spot. You are going to trigger the same reaction every fucking time. If you run their head into the brick wall, your head's gonna hurt. mama, fuck the attorney, love myself, everybody is your law.
On that recording, was that your voice?
Yes.
Was it also Mr. Turner's voice?
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
The address you provided, Grayswood, what is that address?
5516 Graywood Avenue.
Graywood.
Mm-hmm.
And who did you live there with
When?
during the time of your testimony today? Mr. Turner? You lived there with Mr. Turner, isn't that right?
No, that's not right. I lived there by myself. My son was there previously, and Mr. Turner stayed there from time to time.
So he stayed there, but that was a place where he would stay regularly. Isn't that what you testified?
Yes.
Yes. Now, you've testified about your temporary restraining order.
I'm sorry if I can interrupt. What is your name? I'm sorry, I don't know who
I'm
you are.
counsel, and I'm asking the questions.
Okay,
Tell me the answer to my question, and you can have it repeated if you need it.
can you repeat it?
Would the court reporter please repeat the question? Now, you testified about your temporary restraining order?
Correct.
And in fact, that was a temporary restraining order, isn't that right?
Yes,
As a preliminary order, and you never received an actual order on that restraining order, isn't that correct?
well, there's different ones. So which one are you referring to, ma'am?
Well, let's take a look at exhibit 11, and next to you are binders. And you can see binder 1 has exhibit 11 in it. You familiar with this document? This relates to your case Bell versus Turner.
I've never seen it before, but I know what you're talking about. Yes.
And it's a dismissal of your restraining order, isn't that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That's right, and you didn't appear for that hearing, isn't that correct?
No, that's not correct. I actually did appear for that hearing via online, and they did not let me into the hearing on time.
So you're saying the order is inaccurate when it says? that
No,
you
I'm
were-
not saying that it's
Let
inaccurate.
me finish. It's really important that you let me finish, not only so that you understand my question, but also so the court reporter can take down what's being said, because we're both being recorded. So where it says there being no appearance by or for petitioner, you disagree with that?
No, I don't disagree with it, but the fact that I didn't show up, that's not true.
And did you refile or try to obtain a different restraining order?
After this date?
Yes.
No, I did not.
Did you have a conversation with Mr. Glazier before your testimony here today?
I talked to him on the phone.
How many times?
I don't recall.
More than once?
Maybe twice.
And what was let's talk about the first time you spoke with him. What was the content of that conversation?
Informing me about this whole thing. I didn't know anything about what was going on.
What did he inform you about this whole thing?
He stated that there was something happening at a school and that he needed my information or my testimony regarding Mr. Turner and his behavior.
Your allegations, isn't that right? Is that a yes?
Yes.
And their allegations, isn't that right?
You are talking about the document with its alleging?
And what you're saying here today as well?
No, they're not allegations. It's a fact. This is what happened to me.
Well, let's take that one step back. You don't have a court order that finds that those things happened that you've alleged here today, correct?
No, I don't have a court order.
And the things you've alleged here today didn't happen on district property, did they?
No,
They had nothing to do with the school district, isn't that right?
I don't know if they did or not.
As far as you were involved? Do you have any conversation with the school district about your allegations?
No,
Now, you testified you thought you saw a weapon. There was no weapon, was there?
I'm not sure if there was a weapon, but there is a police report.
That finds that there's no weapon. Um. So. The recording that you have, that you provide, did you provide that to Mr. Glazier?
Yes, I did.
When did he ask you for that, or when did you provide that to him, I should say?
I don't recall.
You don't recall?
No,
How long ago?
several months maybe.
So you remember things from longer ago, but you don't remember when you provided Mr. Glazier within the last several months with the recording?
Well, I don't know if I would word it like that.
You probably wouldn't, but isn't that true?
No, that's not true. That's not true at all.
Okay, tell us, why you provided that recording to him.
Because I feel like maybe that's a conversation between me and him of why he wanted that recording.
And I'm entitled to know what that conversation is.
It's exactly what you just heard.
No, I thought you were saying a conversation between Mr. Glazier and yourself.
Oh,
That's what I'm asking about, your conversation with Mr. Glazier
uh-huh.
about the recording.
Yeah, he asked me to provide the recording because there was transcripts, so he wanted to hear the recording.
And you agreed to that?
Yes,
Did you provide anything else to Mr. Glazier?
no.
What else did you discuss with Mr. Glazier?
Just when I was supposed to be here and what the context of it was, that I would be before a board.
Is that the only context he gave you?
I don't recall talking really about anything else. He said it's privileged information, so I didn't even ask.
When he said it's privileged information, what was he referring to?
Maybe the case, the circumstances surrounding why this is even taking place.
Did he explain to you why it would be a privileged situation or conversation?
Well, I guess I'm assuming that he's protecting, whoever he's representing.
Protecting his client?
Yeah.
So he didn't give you any additional information about the context because he said it was privileged?
Yeah.
Okay. How long were you with Mr. Turner?
3 years, a little over 3 years.
And then you left in April of 2022?
2. Mm-hmm.
And you haven't seen him since that time, is that correct?
I saw him when we were in court.
And what date was that?
Several dates in 2022 and early 2023.
So when was the last time you saw Mr. Turner?
Probably February 2023. I think that was the last hearing.
Is that the hearing where the case was dismissed?
Yes.
I don't have anything further.
Just briefly, Your Honor, turning to Exhibit 11 there in front of you. That's actually the dismissal dated September 5th, 2023, right? Why is it that you did not follow up with anything after September 5th, 2023?
Well, in June of 2023, come to find out, Mr. Turner had some of his family members staying in my house that was empty at the time. And I had called the sheriffs out because there was people in my house. I guess they had called him to come and pick them up. They left. I went to the court to put a restraining order against him so he would stay away from my property. After that, I showed up for this one online, but they never let me into the hearing. And so they dismissed it. But the whole point was to get him to stay away from my property because I was in the process of selling my home. After this day, my home had already sold, so I didn't proceed any further with another restraining order after that.
And where were you living at that time since you sold that house?
I was already living out of state,
Okay. So you had no further, you were living,
It's already living.
out of state.
Thank you.
so you had no reason to pursue any further restraining orders at
No.
that time? Okay, nothing further, Your Honor.
Anything further?
Just to be clear, the restraining order you're talking about was for a stay away from your property, is that right?
Correct.
As I understand it, your testimony is that it was a property dispute.
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Just briefly, you got that property back, right? That quitclaim deed in favor of Nathaniel Turner was overturned and you were restored rights to that property, right?
Objection, Lee.
Yes.
Overruled.
Yes, I was restored rights to that property. The Ellisor clerk signed the title back over to me because he actually refused to do it.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
And again, that property had nothing to do with the school district, isn't that right?
I don't know if that's correct or not.
Or tell us how it might be related to the school district.
I have no idea. I don't know what relates to the school district and what does not.
So you don't have any information that it does relate to the school district?
I don't have any information if it does or does not. No, ma'am, I do not.
Anything
Nothing further.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, I appreciate your and the board's indulgence, but we can take a 3-hour break. My next witness will be here at 1 o'clock. And I anticipate several witnesses that will take pretty short periods of time up through 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Do we have something else to fill in with?
Nothing, no, Your Honor. And the reason that the witnesses were scheduled this way is that I did ask the administration for leave to bring in employees of the district during the board proceeding and was told, no, they would have to come in after working hours. The witnesses were told that they could not, they would have to take paid time off in order to appear. So, you know, the fastest I can get a witness in here at 1 o'clock.
And we
And
can
that
save
witness is
that,
not,
Your Honor.
the 1 o'clock witness is not a district employee. She's a professional attorney. But she'll be here at 1, and then I have several district employees and students that we have. They're character witnesses.
Well, I hate to adjourn for 3 hours. Is there anything we can fill in with?
No, I don't know of anything, Your Honor. I don't have anything at this point. I mean, if I have rebuttal witnesses, they would come after I've heard from respondents' witnesses.
Judge, I have a comment, the Board of Education trying to make an effort to attend this special hearing process for Mrs. Escamilla. So I would like everyone to be committed, yeah. Each of us, we are volunteer, but I have a full time, I'm dedicated the 2 days. So, and I also hold a lot of responsibility for other organizations. They are asked me to answer. So my time is very valuable. So I would like this hearing process is very valuable for the board, concentrate the time to listen because this Mrs. Escamilla, the right way to listen. But I hope that we can facilitate this process. And also in the meantime, I still want to ask the question. This is my 3rd time to ask the question. Why we cannot testify, Mrs. Escamilla? We may have a lot of questions to ask.
Yeah, Counsel, your client knows more about her case than anybody else in this room.
I have several responses to that. And first of all, I want to thank you, Mr. Shan and Chang, sorry, and all of the board members for your time, because it's very valuable time. I totally appreciate that. You did set aside 2 full days, and I don't intend to go beyond 2 full days. My challenge is to try to get witnesses here who, you know, also have very full days and are required to be at work. And so I'm not taking any more of my time than I'm allotted. I get a day, basically. The administration gets a day, I get a day. I can't fill the next 3 hours, but I will be done by today. I'm not gonna take longer than today. Obviously, this is an incredibly important hearing. Ms. Escamilla's career is on the line. And again, I very much appreciate the board taking all the time that it is to very carefully consider all of the evidence from both the administration and Ms. Escamilla. With regard to Ms. Escamilla testifying, this proceeding is much more in line with a criminal proceeding than it is with a civil proceeding. And the reason for that is nobody's suing anybody here. Nobody is asking for damages in this forum before the board. I'm not trying to get damages from the district. The district is not trying to get damages from Ms. Escamilla. There's no perspective relief or property relief. I'm not trying to get a restraining order against the district. The district is not trying to restrain or compel Ms. Escamilla in any way. There's only one purpose here, and that purpose is punitive. It is taking away Ms. Escamilla's livelihood. It is ending her career. So that is much more in line with a criminal proceeding than it is with a civil proceeding. Neither the rules of civil procedure nor the rules of criminal procedure apply to this board hearing. The only thing that governs this is provision 16 of the collective bargaining agreement. And in that collective bargaining agreement, it simply says that there will be a full and fair hearing according to due process. Due process in this matter allows me to protect my client. It allows my client to decline to testify and be compelled to give evidence against herself. It also allows you to take that into consideration when you go back and deliberate on all of the evidence. Now, I will, as her attorney, encourage you not to hold it against her that she doesn't testify. But I can't compel that because this isn't an actual criminal hearing, and you're not going to get an instruction from a judge like you would in a criminal trial that you cannot consider her failure to testify. You can't stop that. But let's face it, in this, if I'm hearing right from the administration, they're actually accusing my client of a crime. And now they're asking to have her testify in their case or mine against herself. She has an absolute US Constitution and state constitution right not to be compelled to give testimony against herself. The Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Is she asserting the Fifth Amendment, to be clear, counsel? Is she asserting the Fifth
I'm
Amendment?
not here to answer your questions.
No, it's to be clear for the board,
And I'm
because you're talking about the Fifth Amendment. and Let's hear it.
What I'm doing is I'm answering the board president's question as to why Ms. Escamilla is not compelled to testify in this hearing. This is much more in line with a criminal proceeding than it is with a civil proceeding, and therefore there's nothing in Article 16 of the CBA that says she must testify. So the administration could put on its, and by the way, one more consideration. For months, I have asked the administration for access to district witnesses. And I've actually tried to go get district witnesses who have told me that they feel intimidated and they don't want to play ball.
Objection.
No, this is what, as an officer of the court, I'm representing to you that witnesses will not testify unless they receive a subpoena, and then they'll testify. So I go to opposing counsel and I say, I got a problem here. I don't have subpoena power. And her answer to me is, that's right, you don't. And neither do I. You can't subpoena witnesses. Ms. Escamilla is a district employee. I can't subpoena district employees, neither can she. So she can't require the testimony of Ms. Escamilla any more than I can require the testimony of David Iria. I would love to call David Iria as a witness in this hearing. I can't because he refuses to come. He doesn't want to come without a subpoena. I get it. And I have lots of questions for David Iria, who was Nate Turner's direct supervisor and later Escamilla's supervisor. So is the board going to get all the evidence that it might otherwise have liked to get? No, it is not. It's going to get the best case it can from the district, from the administration, and it's going to get the best case it can from me. So I hope that satisfies the questions that we have regarding Ms. Escamilla's testimony.
I'd like to be heard.
Sure.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, counsel's testimony about our conversation is not accurate. This is not a criminal proceeding. This is an administrative proceeding. Has nothing to do with life, liberty, or deprivation of her rights under the Constitution. However, if counsel is suggesting that she has a right under the Fifth Amendment, then say so and assert it. Because I then have the right to ask the questions and she can refuse to answer them. But then this board can hear what those questions are. She is a party to this action. I don't need to subpoena a party to this action. I have a right to examine this witness. And they've made it clear that they're not going to make her available. We've made a motion that this hearing that she requested should be dismissed for her refusal to participate in a meaningful way in this process. And we renew that motion and we will continue that motion as we move forward if the matter continues. One other point, what Section 16 does say is that due process applies. Due process goes both ways. The district has due process, Ms. Escamilla has due process, and we have the entitlement to participate, have meaningful witness testimony. Yes, it's true. I can't subpoena everybody that I'd like to have here. That is absolutely true, and neither can Mr. Glazier. But we do have a party here who's refusing to testify, who requests this hearing. Thank you.
Okay. I will deny the motion to dismiss without prejudice. And it's obviously something that the board has heard, and how they want to deal with that is their decision. Do we have any other witnesses till what time is your next witness?
Until 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock?
1 o'clock. And again, I anticipate that witness to be short and then the witnesses following that to be short.
By the way, I just want to make a comment. You know, after serving for the school board member 25 years, I probably did a couple of times the hearing process. So this is the first time I cannot talk to the first party directly. Yeah. To me, it's very unusual. Okay, that's my comment.
Are there any other witnesses we can fill in with at this point?
I have no witnesses to fill in it at this point.
Okay.
Thank you.
You do wish to call the claimant, but she's not.
She's refusing repeatedly.
And she's not the claimant, which is important.
Well, yeah. but
She's the
just-
respondent. I would like to know if, and I would ask the board and the judge to be clear that if she is refusing to testify based on the Fifth Amendment, that be stated on the record.
So if she's refusing to testify, is it possible that we can come up with some question to you and you can kind of talk to your client and come up with some answer from yourself?
Yes, we will entertain that.
So why don't we just do that since we have 3 hours?
Well,
We need to talk about that. We
Yeah.
need to talk.
Yeah,
That's,
The-
I
the-
would
of
object
course.
to that
I-
process because,
Are
well, let me finish. The district as the administration separate from the board has the right to be a full participant in the questioning.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to retract that because I agree that that would be unfair to Ms. Evans because she would not have a chance to then cross-examine. So I
Oh,
can't, because that would be unfair to the district.
I understand my colleague trying to collect more information.
Absolutely.
But as the board chair, I still think, yeah, we have to do collect. Yeah.
May I ask a legal question of the judge?
ahead.
So in the case that Mrs. Escamilla asserts her Fifth Amendment rights, she can refuse to answer a question that she would feel would be against herself or whatever, and can choose to answer questions that she would feel would be in her favor, correct?
Yeah.
So can you please answer? Do you understand my question, what I'm getting at? Why we are bothering with saying no when she could please clearly like defend yourself? And I want to know, it seems like this is very multifaceted. There's a lot going on here. And we are not getting the whole picture. And she knows in her heart, her motivation, she knows what happened from her point of view. And we would love to hear that.
Sure, let me separate off the Fifth Amendment concern because,
Okay.
and that's addresses the very first part of your question. Would it not be possible for a witness to testify in an administrative proceeding like this and assert his or her Fifth Amendment right question by question? The answer to that is yes. That's often done. It's a little bit difficult to do in a hearing because the witness has to assert that privilege. You know, I can do my best to object on Fifth Amendment grounds, and then the witness has to, decide whether or not they're going to assert. That's one very small aspect of what's going on here.
Well, I would assume when you are questioning her, you wouldn't question her in a way that she wouldn't be able to tell her side and assert that right because you're her representation.
Yeah, that's not what I'm referring to. What I'm
Okay.
referring to is if she's under examination by district counsel, by administration counsel. And I, by the way, I've tried to be careful and not say district when I mean administration, because I
Thank you.
understand that they're pro forma separate for the purposes of this hearing. Administration counsel questioning the witness, the only thing I can do is object and instruct the witness or advise the witness to assert her Fifth Amendment right. But that's a very small part of what I'm talking about. And I'm not saying that she's asserting her Fifth Amendment rights. I'm confused about whether the administration is intending to accuse her of a crime. From what I've heard, they're throwing around a lot of penal codes and they're talking about things that are misdemeanors. And they're alleging that some people broke the law. They're not being clear in my mind who that is. They would have to be very clear that they are intending to assert that against my client before I would advise my client of her Fifth Amendment rights. That's absolutely separate from the completely distinct and separate considerations that it is eminently unfair for the administration to be able to effectively subpoena this employee to the witness stand, because that's what she is. She's a current district employee. She's here voluntarily attending her hearing because she's on paid administrative leave. She doesn't have to be down at the high school working. So she's here to participate in the hearing.
She requested the hearing.
She absolutely requested the hearing, which is her right. And that request does not carry with it an obligation. There is nothing in the collective bargaining agreement that requires that she doesn't even need to be here. She doesn't have to attend. She can request the hearing and then not show up and allow me to conduct the whole thing. So, I mean, that's allowed under the collective bargaining agreement. You could have a representative do it instead of you. So there's no compulsion in the collective bargaining agreement for her to testify. What would be eminently unfair is that opposing counsel gets to effectively subpoena her while she's saying, I want to put her on the witness stand. That's the same as a subpoena. I want to put David Urier on the stand. I want to put several people from the district on the witness stand here for you to hear their testimony. I can't do it. There's nothing I can do because I don't have subpoena power. So it is very unfair to allow the district to have that subpoena power, the administration to have that subpoena power, but not me. And then also, finally, although I'm reversing the arguments here, again, this is a hearing that is not subject to the rules of evidence, not subject to the rules of civil procedure, not subject to the rules of criminal procedure. But the best that it can be likened to is that it's closer to a criminal trial than it is a civil trial because nobody's suing anybody.
Are you saying there's a crime?
No,
Well, you keep saying it's criminal. I mean, it's kind of,
I'm not.
you're kind of arguing both sides.
I'm not trying to, and I'm sorry if I'm being confusing, but what I'm saying is the penalties that are available, are punitive in nature and only punitive. That's it. And a punitive penalty is like incarceration, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness raised by my colleague. not liberty. Her liberty is not at stake. She's not going to jail. I'm sorry, not life. She's not going to jail. She's not, she's not subject to being in prison. But liberty includes her right to employment. The pursuit of happiness includes her right to employment. So those are effectively being taken away if you follow the recommendation of the administration. So it's all I'm saying is that it's closer to a criminal proceeding. That's all I'm saying. It's not a criminal proceeding, but it's closer to criminal than it is to civil. So again, there are those fairness considerations that augur for, her right not to testify against herself. That's my argument.
I'd like to be heard. It is not like a criminal proceeding. In fact, civil proceedings happen all the time where there's a termination of employment and a challenge to that termination. So there's just no relevance to what a criminal proceeding was. The district is not a law enforcement agency. Certainly, the district has an interest in ensuring that laws and statutes, regulations are enforced, and that has been made part of the notice of intent and statement of charges that have been brought against Ms. Escamilla. So, and certainly the Fifth Amendment is available in both civil and criminal matters. And of course, in this administrative proceeding, if she wants to assert the Fifth Amendment. But the idea that it's close to a criminal trial and therefore I'm not going to testify is just not supported. And in this, she is a party to this action. The only way she can request a hearing is by being a party to this action. So again, the notion that we're somehow using a subpoena authority that he doesn't also have access to is not accurate. With that, I'll submit.
Thank you. So we don't have anybody to fill in between now and 1 o'clock?
There's nobody to fill in, but I do have a couple of exhibits I could mark and go ahead and distribute. Might as well get that out of the way, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Get ready.
In the meantime, Mr. Glazier, is there no circumstance where both counsel could meet and come up with some conditions that they would both be satisfied so that we could hear Mrs. Escamilla? I mean, we have 3 hours.
Yeah, or for example, like, only we
Yeah,
gonna ask a
whatever they-
questions.
yeah.
Only we
No, no.
ask a question or something.
Would
Yeah.
they both agree to
Yeah.
that they would be satisfied if that's the case with both sides? I don't know if you're willing to.
Yeah, definitely. We can take some time and meet.
I'm happy to discuss with Mr. Glazier.
Let's mark as exhibit 54, November 7th letter from Mr. David Erie.
Counsel, this is already in the record. Yeah. Mhm. I can give you the citation,
Yeah, if you, what's the
43.
exhibit 43?
Yes, exhibit 43.
So it's already in your packet. Sorry about that. So strike that. We'll go with exhibit 54 as a 25 September 2024 character reference from Daphne Bowie.
Does the board and the judge wish to hear objections at this time, or how would you prefer to handle this?
Did council have something? You said?
I do. I have an objection to the proposed exhibit.
Okay,
One, it's not relevant. There's no ability to cross-examine this witness. So the notion that it can be submitted without being subject to cross-examination is part of my objection. And this was not presented with the response to the notice of intent to dismiss and statement of damages. So this is a new document.
okay. It will be received for what weight the board decides to give it.
Thank you.
And I'm not sure I need to respond to that, but it's along the exact same lines as all of the letters of recommendation that we received yesterday that suffer from all the same defects in terms of witness cross-examination.
No objection was posed to those exhibits.
Do we have anything else we can fill up some time with, or?
No, but I'm happy to take some time to meet with opposing counsel and, kick it around.
Around.
Or we want to come back?
Yeah, I guess 1 o'clock, you'll have a witness here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's adjourn to 1 o'clock.
In the event that you come to an agreement, will you please notify us and we can start sooner than 1 o'clock?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, right now it's 1:04 p.m. This continuing for this morning meeting. Before we start, I'd like to do the roll call. Mr. Song.
Aye.
Mrs. Lam,
Here.
Mrs. Gill.
Here.
Mr. Chen. Here. Okay, right now let's go to the.
All right, you have a witness now?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
call your first witness.
Cassandra Zappatrino, right afraid.
I think I know that, but Zappatrere.
I'm impressed, yes.
Would you raise your right hand to be sworn? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. State your full name for the record, please.
Cassandra Zappatrino,
And I think the court reporter already got the spelling of that. Am I right?
correct?
Very good. You served as the Titan Football Boosters president for the 2023 season, correct?
Yes,
Some testimony and some emails in this case regarding the frustrations with actually getting a coach in place early in the season have already been introduced in this case, but I want to jump right to May of 2023. Dr. De La Torre has testified in this case about a meeting that she had with you and some others concerning Nate Turner, at which Dr. De La Torre contends that another potential coach's name was mentioned, a Mr. Cisneros. Do you recall that meeting?
if you were talking about, I attended many meetings with Linda De La Torre and Jason Kurtenbach and other people. If you're talking about the one that was here at the district office
Yes,
in the
that one.
conference room, that one, yes, I do remember that meeting.
And who is Mr. Cisneros?
Coach in the area.
Okay, and what was said at the meeting about Mr. Cisneros, if you remember?
So before this meeting, it was my understanding that Jeremy Cisneros was hired as a coach and then fired the same day. And I
As the
was
San Marino head coach?
not as a head coach, as Nate Turner's assistant coach. He applied for, I believe, the head coaching position, which was given to Nate Turner. And then after he applied for the assistant coach position and was hired by San Marino is what I understood, and then promptly let go. So in the meeting with Linda De La Torre and others, Daisy Wilson, who was the booster treasurer at the time and still is, brought up the issue of Nate Turner not having any assistant coaches and what happened to the assistant coaches that were, I will call it, teed up to help him. And Jeremy's name was brought up at that meeting.
And what was Dr. De La Torre's response to that question? Do you remember?
It wasn't a question. It was more of a statement that Daisy made about if he has no coaches to help him, why didn't you hire these people who are willing to help him?
And do you recall whether there was, that sounds like a question. So I was just wondering if you recalled the response of Dr. De La Torre to that.
I don't think she had a response.
Did you chime in with anything at that point?
About Jeremy?
Correct.
Um,
Or the assistant coaches in general, that situation.
I think the issue that we were discussing was the fact that this coach, Nate Turner, was very unorganized and there were people willing to help him that had already been approved by the district, and they should reconsider their position about hiring various people who had already passed the background check and been HR onboarded.
And was that basically the purpose of the whole meeting?
No, there were many, many issues surrounding Coach Turner. And this was, I believe, the second or third meeting we had, Daisy and I and Steve Park, another parent, about the coaching situation.
What were the, tell me what the issues were at this May 2023 meeting, besides the lack of organization and hiring of assistant coaches? What else was discussed at this meeting?
And again, just give me a second because I had many meetings. So this particular May meeting was a follow-up to a meeting we had in Jason Kurtenbach's office, where we met him the first time. It was a follow-up to many things. The summer program was about to start and it was very unorganized as well. And there was always a disconnect between the district, Linda and her staff, and the summer program being run by Stephanie Duncan. And all the parents were coming to me and asking a lot of questions about what was going to happen for the summer. So I was trying to get some clarification about how to communicate better with the parents about what was going to happen in 1 week's time. We had an agenda, I know that. Linda had suggested an agenda and I added to it. So there's probably an email saying what the agenda was, and those are the things we discussed. I want to say there were like 8 to 10 things that were on the agenda. So we discussed all those things. And I believe that, I can't remember if that was before Jason left, Jason Kurtenbach. So I believe he was at that meeting as well as I believe might have been the head maintenance guy and David Lynn. I might be confusing it with another meeting I had, but that's what I remember.
And just to be clear, Jason Kurtenbach is the former principal. He was principal
Correct.
before Dr. Wolf. Is that right?
Correct. Jason Kurtenbach, up until he left, was the, I will call it the middleman between the parents and the boosters and the coach. He was the self-appointed middleman that we were supposed to run everything through if we had a question or a concern.
So I take it you took a fair amount of topics and concerns to Mr. Kurtenbach before you had this meeting in May up here at the district.
I began meeting with Jason Kurtenbach in January. And then that was right after we had a meeting set up before the prior coaches were let go. And then I probably met with him 4 more times.
Did you date Mr. Cisneros?
Date him?
Yes. Has he ever been your boyfriend?
No.
Was there any time during the meeting in May with Dr. De La Torre that you advanced as a potential candidate, a former boyfriend of yours for the head coach position?
No. The coaching staff was set when we had that meeting. Daisy Wilson brought up, again, I will say, Daisy Wilson, who has also, I have 3 sons in the program. My oldest just graduated last year. I have a freshman and a junior. Daisy has 4 sons and her youngest is, I believe, in 5th grade. So not only is she a booster parent, she is a parent who's going to be in the program for 10 more years. So we were meeting as booster representatives to try and get some answers and to try and get some things established, because when Jason left, there were a lot of holes, and the new coach was very uncommunicative, and we didn't know his status. But Daisy was bringing up that several local people who knew the vibe of San Marino and had applied for the job were not hired. And we kept hearing that there's no coaches to assist Nate Turner. So Daisy brought it up. What about these people that were already hired or not even just dismissed, who would still be willing to help? To which Now you're refreshing my memory. Linda Delatorre said those people will never be hired in San Marino.
I see. Did you ever express at that meeting that you were upset that Nate Turner was made coach over a former boyfriend of yours?
No,
Did you ever express that you were upset that Nate Turner was made the coach at all?
no. I want to be clear. My frustrations were because Nate Turner had started off in a very strange way, in my opinion. He was very unresponsive. The first meeting I had with him in Jason's office, it was Jason, I think Jason Rose was there. I think David Erie was there. I think Linda Delatorre was there. Daisy Wilson, Steve Park. It was before he officially took the job, and it was what I would call a shakedown by the district to try and get the boosters or SMCAA to pay Nate Turner more money. So that's how I met him.
Got it. Now I want to move well ahead in time to August 27th of 2023. Was there a meeting at your house that day concerning a packet of information about Coach Turner?
Yes.
Would you flip to Exhibit 2 in the binder there? And just thumb through that and let me know if you recognize that as the packet of information that was discussed.
Yes.
Tell me who attended that meeting.
Me, Daisy Wilson, Pat Escamilla, Roberto Solis, Steve Park, Devin Beck, Bill Piccinini.
What was discussed at that meeting?
Nate Turner.
And I take it this packet of information was available at that meeting and this packet was discussed. Is that right?
I believe it was basically this packet. Yes. There might have, let me look through it. Yes, we discussed this packet.
And what, if anything, was decided as a result of your discussions?
It was decided that instead of going to the parents with this information, we would present it to the district, specifically Linda Delatorre.
And was there a method in place or a method decided upon for approaching Dr. Delatorre
Yes.
with the packet?
So Steve Park, and I want to say this meeting was not a booster meeting whatsoever. It was a parent meeting of parents that I already knew had some concerns and that I highly valued their judgment and their opinions. Daisy, for the reasons that I said, she's in this program and does a lot for this district on PTA and everything through all levels of schools, Valentine, middle school, high school, 4 sons. Roberto Solis, I had been talking to the Solises. It had come to my attention during the season that their son Julian, who was a star on the football team, was struggling under Coach Turner. And I know they had some concerns. Steve grew up here, graduated here, was a 2-star athlete, baseball and football, and was very involved in the program as an alumni and also a parent. Devin Beck was possibly going to be the booster president the next year, but his son Brady was our star quarterback. Phil Piccinini, his son and my son are very good friends, so I know them very well, and I always like his opinions, and he's not afraid to express them. And me, and that's it, right? I think I went through everybody. So that is how that group came together, is because Steve and Daisy had already been going to meetings with me about football in general. not just the coach. And the other people I thought were good, were people that I wanted to collaborate with or get everybody to collaborate with on what to do with all this information.
Was Leda Escamilla present for that meeting?
No,
And you said that there was a decision made to present the material to Dr. De La Torre. What was the method by which you were going to do that?
so it was a Sunday, I believe. And Steve Park said, it was decided amongst all of us after talking about it, that, and I forget who said these words, but somebody said, okay, we're all in agreement. We don't want this guy serving as a mentor and a coach to our young men. And we discussed whether we wanted to have a parent meeting and kind of make it a bigger, I guess, audience to decide on what, if anything, to do with this information. But it was decided that we should give the district and Linda in particular notice that this, about this background stuff. And the hearing that was coming up on September 5th. And Steve was going to approach Linda and contact Linda because he was going to be our spokesperson for all the parents and ask her for a meeting. Steve, Daisy, Phil, and Roberto were going to go to the meeting and give the district and Linda an opportunity to, I guess, discuss it and to hear the many concerns, not only dealing with this packet, but the many concerns that were already apparent by August about this coach.
And did that meeting take place?
No.
What happened?
Steve gave Linda a call or an email, however he did it, and set up a meeting. I believe it was supposed to be the next day, Monday or Tuesday. And then Steve also said to her that there was this information about the coach that maybe she should review before the meeting. And I believe he gave her a copy of it, in which case she then said that her attorney needed to be present, or the district's attorney needed to be present. And then she told Steve, you know, if you go something along the lines of, and again, I wasn't there, but this was what was communicated to me. If you go forward with this, you know, we're going to have to cancel your season.
Cancel the football season.
Cancel the football season. And if you go forward with this. And so the meeting got canceled because Steve, who also had a senior on the team, and other people who had seniors on the team, 5 or 6 now, of which who played football this year at college, 5 or 6 out of 14 or 13, pretty high number. We didn't want to cancel the season for them. But that was the threat if Steve and Daisy and Roberto and Phil went forward with the meeting.
Let's talk a little bit about, well, let me ask you this. As the booster president, did parents of Titan football players come to you with complaints about Coach Turner?
Complaints, concerns, yes.
Take me through some of those.
Where do you want me to start? Well, let me just start. Besides the parents, as a mom of people on the team, the boys, first and foremost, had complaints. Not only complaints, but were saying things that were very concerning to me and other parents. It started pretty early on. And again, I was not present for whatever was happening. But my oldest son, who was a senior at the time, one Saturday after a week of practice, and I believe this was kind of around the same time, August, when we came back from summer. He and maybe 10 other boys had their own meeting at IHOP one Saturday morning to discuss the coach and what to do. And again, you'd have to ask him what was discussed because I wasn't there. All I know is when he came back, and he doesn't give me as much information as some of your kids maybe do, but it was very telling because he said, we decided we're not going to do anything. We're going to play for each other, not for this coach who doesn't care about us, essentially. During the summer, again, there were complaints about things. But when and again, Jason was gone, Linda had said, come to me now as the middleman between me and the coach. But it was passing the buck between PT affiliates and the district. So there were lots of issues just about communication, organization, last minute cancellations. A big fight I've always had is about water and hydration, which was not happening during the summer. And that was another meeting we had at some point about that with Linda. But again, it was PT affiliates who was in charge, so the district couldn't do anything. But from when we came back from summer to, I don't know, when do you want me to go? The end of the season? The coach's behavior to me seemed very erratic. He would call Daisy Wilson at 11:42 p.m. multiple times, to the extent that her husband, John, said, block him. He would not respond to any requests. He said in a meeting that he would not be dictated to or questioned, and he was not going to respond to any emails. He made a very big, so I'll call it stink, about how he wasn't provided any resources for coaches' gear, which it was a complete lie also. The kids, and this is their words, were telling me, and this is not just my own kids, it was my kids' friends who were on the team, that he's a tweaker. You'd have to ask them what specifically they meant by that. So it was a whole bunch of things that, he didn't show up on time. He missed every Thursday because he went to his daughter's soccer games. And the most important game, arguably the most important game of the season, he arrived at 2 minutes before, and it was senior night, and it was for winning the conference title outright. And it was a very mismanaged game, but I'm not a coach, so you'd have to ask other people who know about coaching.
But he showed up 2 minutes before that game.
Yes.
Did you win that game?
No, we could have.
Let me ask you, is Leda Escamilla a friend of yours?
I know Leda, our sons are good friends.
Yeah, but is she a friend of yours? Is Leda a friend?
I
of
would
yours?
consider us friends.
Are you good friends?
Explain to me. I mean, I'm on a group chat, or I was on a group chat with the class of 2024 moms. And that is how I have ever communicated with Leda, other than to see her at the school when she was working here.
Do you hang out with Leda outside of the
Never.
football boosters or anything like that?
Never.
When's the last time you spoke to Leda Escamilla?
The last time I spoke to Leda Escamilla was when she came to support my son and the other seniors at the senior baseball game at San Marino High. So that would be last spring, May or April, because she knows all those boys, my son and the 10 others that were graduating seniors.
Given the information in Exhibit 2 and all of your discussions with other football parents, maybe discussions with your own kids even. Why is it that you didn't pull your kids, you had two. Why did you not pull them off the team?
I just told you, my son is one of the 5 or 6 who are playing college football.
And had you pulled him off the team, what do you think would have happened with that?
Well, he was actively being recruited by a few teams. I don't want to say many. And that would have killed his recruitment hopes.
Do you know the reason why any other parents, based on the fact that they may have discussed this with you, do you know the reason why other parents maybe did not pull their kids off the team based on the information in Exhibit 2?
I can think of 2 others who were in the same boat, who both their kids are playing college football right now as well. And they were actively trying to be recruited and make it onto college teams. One is at a D1 in New York and one is at a D3, University of Chicago. And they weren't going to jeopardize their chances to play and get into good schools with football. A few people contemplated it, I guess, that I knew about. But at the end of the day, it was just the ones I'm thinking of said, I'm just going to start going to the practices and making sure that there's nothing crazy happens.
Meaning the parents said they were going to go to the
Yes,
practice.
to watch the practices to make sure that the behavior was in line with the standards that were expected of a coach.
Gotcha. No further questions. Thank you.
Yeah. Give me 1 second while I get my. Ms. Zappatorino, am I saying that correctly?
Close enough.
Close enough, thank you. Would you say there are a lot of rumors about Coach Turner?
No, I would say there was a lot of information about Coach Turner.
Well, let's take a look at Exhibit 31. You have a set of binders over there. I'm not sure which binder is open. Let's see, no, not 31. Yeah, excuse me, it is number 28. Are you familiar with this document?
Well, I see it's an email from me. Yes.
Sandra Zappatorino, and then your address, it references CJ Morning. Is that you?
Yes, that's my email address.
Now, looking at that first line, people are contacting me on a daily basis to ask what is happening. They've heard rumors swirling. What kind of rumors were swirling at that point?
At this point, it was that we had announced, Jason Kurtenbach had announced the coach, but he had yet to actually accept the position. It was rumors about whether or not we had a coach or not,
And what were the rumors?
that he didn't actually accept the position, despite being announced as our coach.
Ms. Zappatorino, do you know Mr. Glazier?
I know him now.
Do you only know him through this law or through this administrative proceeding?
Yes.
You've never met him before these proceedings?
Nope.
Okay. And did you discuss with him your testimony here today?
Nope.
How did you know to come here today?
He told me he wanted me to testify back in whenever was the first hearing date, October, or whenever that
And
was.
when did he contact you?
For that hearing?
Let's talk about the first time he contacted you. When was
First
that?
time he contacted me, I met him at a football game and he asked if, he told me he was representing Leda and he asked if I would give a declaration, which I did, which I'm sure you have.
Did you write that declaration?
I didn't write it from start to finish. Did
In
not.
fact, his office wrote that declaration for you, correct?
He gave me a draft, which I fine tuned.
And it's identical to the other declarations that were submitted by the parents you've identified as having been at your house the night of the 27th.
I don't know that I haven't seen their declarations.
Have you discussed your testimony today with Leda Escamilla?
No, I haven't spoken to Leda since I saw her at the baseball game last year.
You didn't discuss it at that point?
No, we
Did you
talked
just-
about how great the kids were and the seniors.
What about with Patrick Escamilla?
No,
When was the last time you spoke to him?
I believe the last time was maybe at my house at that meeting.
And that meeting was August 27th, is that correct?
You guys probably know the date, but it was a Sunday. I know that.
I'll represent to you. It was
Okay,
August.
I
27th.
will concede.
And you're a lawyer, is that right?
Yes.
Now, you've answered some questions about concerns with Coach Turner. Did you ever file a complaint with the district regarding Coach Turner?
I don't know what you mean by complaint, but I definitely voiced these concerns, and you can call them complaints, to Linda and
Did you ever-
others.
Okay, thank you. I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's okay.
Did you ever submit a written complaint to the Department of Human Resources?
I believe Jason Rose might have been on those emails too, but I didn't do anything formal, if that's what you're asking.
Partly.
But there were several emails about
So you've
issues.
testified that Mr. Cisneros was not your boyfriend. Did he live with you at some point?
No.
Okay.
Is this another rumor about me? Talk about rumors?
Are there rumors about you?
Well, in that meeting, Linda also suggested that I might be friends with the last coaches as well, which I did
Really?
not take kindly to.
Why would that bother you?
She was suggesting I was sleeping with the coaches.
Did she say that? Did she ask you if you were sleeping with the coaches?
No, but
She
she
didn't,
said,
did
I
she?
heard you were friends, and she used air quotes with them too. Because the old coaches came up, the Torres.
And you interpreted that.
We all knew what she was talking about.
Okay. And is it your testimony that you did not say you wanted Jeremy Cisneros to serve as the head coach? Is that what you were testifying in response to Mr. Blazier?
Are you saying at the meeting with Linda Delatorre when we already had a head coach?
That's right.
No, I never said I wanted Jeremy Cisneros to be the head coach. Daisy and I believe Steve even, were asking why the district, failed to move forward with Jeremy as assistant coach because he had already been hired as an assistant coach,
And what was the response to that?
that they will never hire him.
And you're saying that Dr. De La Torre said that,
Linda said that, yes.
but it was your understanding that he had been hired. Isn't that what you testified, that he had been hired and then fired?
Yes, I know he was onboarded at HR and received an SMUSD email
How do you know that?
because he told me.
He told you, did you see it?
No, but he called me when he got hired to ask some questions about the program because he knew I
But you
was
don't
Mr.
have
President.
personal knowledge of what his communications were with the district or the status of his hiring with HR, do you?
No, I only know what he told me. But I'm sure you guys can get that information.
Who's Chris Zubia?
A parent in the community?
Is he somebody that lived with you in 2023?
No,
No? Was he ever your boyfriend?
I dated him in 2015.
And he never lived in your house in 2023?
No,
And are you aware that Mr. Zubia was bad-mouthing Mr. Turner when he was being considered for the coaching position?
I would disagree with that statement, but I understand that that was Stephanie Duncan's position when she called me.
But Stephanie Duncan told you that she had heard about the bad-mouthing of Mr. Turner?
She told me something along the lines, but she did not use those words.
She didn't use the term bad mouthing. Is that what you mean?
She just kind of rambled on about, people are talking about Coach Turner.
Negatively, is that correct?
Yes.
And is it, now you've testified that you've said negative things about Coach Turner, correct?
That's not what I testified to. I said
Well-
factual things about Coach Turner.
Would you consider them negative?
What are we talking about?
The issues that you said you've talked about with Mr. Turner?
I don't consider them positive or negative. I consider them factual.
Okay. When Mr. Turner was going through the hiring process and the district was waiting for the DOJ and the FBI clearances, you suggested there was something wrong, that he hadn't been cleared, didn't you?
No, I asked the district if that is why it was taking 4 months for us to get a coach.
And in fact, you asked about it, even though it had only been 6 days since it was submitted for clearances.
That's not true. I asked about it in, I believe, April, after he was hired and announced as our coach in February. Because no football programs had been started, which was very distressful for our kids because football starts in the spring. And as I said, there were many seniors on that team, or incoming seniors, including my son, many of which were trying to get recruited to play football in college after their senior year. And the fact that football had not started and we were not getting any information about any programs, and parents were asking me to follow up about the plan and when things would start, I was asking questions about, do we even have a head coach yet?
And you were asking specifically about his clearances.
I asked if that was a reason why he was not our coach yet.
And did you get a response from Dr. De La Torre?
At some point, yes.
Let's take a look at 31, which I guess you have open there. Down at the bottom of the page, there's an email from, starts on 31-2 from Linda De La Torre to Principal Kurtenbach. Did you receive this?
Sorry, you're saying 31-2?
Yeah, it starts on 31-1 and it continues on to 31-2.
Which one are we
Where
talking
it
about?
says Principal Kurtenbach, whenever we hire an employee.
Oh, 31.1. Yes, I did receive this.
Okay. And what was your understanding of this email?
I mean, I think it speaks for itself.
What was your understanding of it?
That he hadn't been cleared yet.
And that there was a backlog, isn't that right?
Well, I don't know about that. I know I can read it, so I know what it says. Yes, that's what
Correct. That's
they
what
were
it's-
saying to me. Yes,
They were saying to you that there was a backlog, that it wasn't unusual for there to be a backlog with clearances. Is that
that's
a
what,
fair statement?
that is what Principal Kurtenbach's email says. Yes.
It's actually Linda De La Torre, it's just for the record,
Oh, okay.
directed to Principal Kurtenbach, but copied to you. And then you responded above on April 15th. Do you see that?
I do.
And it says from Cassandra Morning, but I just want to be clear again, that's you. Correct?
Yep, that's my email. Yes.
Okay. And you say here, I've done some research too, and I understand it's a complete anomaly for this process to take this long. What was your purpose in researching the clearances?
By this point, I was skeptical that the district was being transparent about what was happening with this coach,
What did you think they were keeping from you or others?
that he didn't actually accept the position, despite being announced as our coach in February.
Why would the district do that? Why did you think the district would do that?
Because they had something to hide,
Why did you think they had something to hide?
because of the lack of transparency and the lack of communication and the lack of a coach taking on the program by this time.
And at what point was that? What, April 15?
Well, it was obviously by April 15th, since I'm saying that in my email.
Yeah, I'm asking for your confirmation if you recall that,
Recall what?
the date
Of what?
of when you were having these concerns and
It
these
was
thoughts
before
of
April
lack of
15th, for
transparency.
sure.
And who did you talk to about the process being an anomaly for it taking this long? When you say you did research, who did you, what kind of research did you do?
I mean, I research for a living, so I think I researched it on my own. And then I think I believe some parents that are in the educational field. And I were discussing it also, how long it would take.
And who was that?
Wendy Solis. She is an administrator in the Alhambra School District from what I know.
And tell me what she told you.
It shouldn't take this long,
How long?
months.
And what's her role in the Alhambra School District?
I'm not sure. I think she is, I'm not sure.
Do you know if she's in HR?
No, I think she's like a principal or something along the lines in the district office, like a higher up in,
Well, I don't want you to guess if you don't know.
no. I know she's not a teacher. I know she is now, she's in the district doing something.
So you were chatting with folks and parents about this situation. Is that what your testimony is?
No, my testimony is that multiple parents were asking me continuously what is happening with our program and the hiring of this new coach.
And when you spoke to these multiple parents, did you tell them that the clearances had not gone through yet?
No, I said, I don't know what's happening. I said that Jason Kurtenbach told me in particular, the first meeting I had with him, which was within days of the prior coaches being terminated, that he was going to involve a team of parents and people important in, I'm using the word important, I don't think he said important, but my conclusion was people he thought were important to have on the hiring committee involved in the process of hiring a coach. And one of them was going to be Steve Park. And then all of a sudden we had a coach and nobody had met him. Nobody knew anything about him. And then there were strange things happening after the announcement of this coach, including they announced it, but then they took it back and then nothing was happening for months. And then we got called into a meeting to ask if we could contribute money towards the salary, the boosters and SMCAA.
Is that what you referred to earlier as a shakedown?
Yes.
You understand that hiring is a process, right?
Sure.
Sure. Right.
That was my point of saying, Jason said it was going to be a hiring committee and have multiple people interview and whatnot, but they went a different
The
way.
district is a public entity that is governed by, as you may know, as a lawyer, the education code, labor code, and is bound by those provisions in the hiring process, right?
Well, all of California law, yes.
All of California law applicable to public school districts.
I don't practice public school district law, so
Okay.
I'll take your word for it.
Thank you. Bottom line is that it's a process and it takes some time. And you're aware that Mr. Turner, Coach Turner received clearances from both the DOJ and the FBI, correct?
I know that was told to me.
And who told you that?
I believe it's in this exhibit or another one or another email where when I was questioning what is happening,
So you heard it from the district?
Linda said he got cleared. I don't know what processes they use to clear people.
Okay, well, they are cleared by the Department of Justice and the FBI. All public employees go through that process. And the criminal history records you received in the packet all predated the clearances, isn't that right?
I think it speaks for itself. I don't know.
Well, it probably does speak for itself, but I'm asking you what you know.
I know that the Ameris Bell lawsuit and claims were, I want to say concurrent.
And that-
Because there was supposed to be a hearing while he was our coach.
And you understand as a lawyer that Amherst Bell was seeking a civil restraining order, correct?
Yes.
So not a criminal history matter.
I mean, I don't know what else I know about that one because it was public record. I don't know what else she
Well,
did.
your declaration stated that all of the documents were public record. Is that your understanding? In Exhibit 2?
What is my declaration exhibit number? So I can see it.
No. You don't have a memory independent of your.
Did I memorize my declaration? No.
No, you don't know that independently of your declaration.
I'm sorry, what was the question? Yeah, the question was, does my declaration say that? So I wanted to answer your question.
Fair enough. It's Exhibit 50, is it 51? Exhibit 51.
Yeah, my declaration says nothing about anything being public record.
I'm looking at paragraph 2. At the meeting, the parents discussed the contents of a packet of documents consisting of public records concerning Titan football head coach Nate Turner. Do you see that?
Yes.
Is that your declaration?
Yes.
And it does state public records, does it not?
Well, you can see it there. So yes.
So yes. Where did you get that packet of materials?
It was a combination of, well, let me back up. I don't know if this exhibit 2 was the entire packet that everyone saw at the meeting at my house, but some of the records were provided by Pat and some I looked up my own self.
Which of the records did you pull yourself?
The restraining order lawsuit that Ameris Bell filed in Pasadena, because that was accessible on anything that had to do, that was available on the Los Angeles County Superior Court website.
Did you and Mr. Escamilla put together a packet of materials?
Did we put together a packet of materials?
Yes.
Um,
Between what you pulled and what Mr. Escamilla provided?
no, I wouldn't say that.
Okay, well, your declaration states that at the meetings, the parents discussed the contents of a packet of documents.
Yes.
So what was that packet of documents? I think you testified earlier that Exhibit 2 is the packet of documents.
I believe it is.
So how did documents that you pulled become part of a packet of documents with Mr. Escamilla's documents?
I think Pat had also found the same lawsuits that I did.
So that packet, his packet, was what was distributed at the meeting? Just want to get clear on who was submitting documents.
He brought documents for everybody to my house for the meeting.
And that was the packet of documents referenced in your declaration, correct?
Yes.
And you scheduled that meeting on August 27th, 2023, isn't that right?
If that's a Sunday, yes.
So you said there were 5 other parents. It wasn't the full Booster Club. In fact, you testified that it was not Booster Club affiliated. Is that correct?
6 other parents.
6 other parents.
And correct, half of them were not, sorry, everybody was a booster in that their kids played football and they joined boosters. Only some of them were on the booster board.
So that was the meeting was for the booster board.
No, it was for parents, like I testified earlier.
That's what I understood. So this is the first time I heard you say booster board. So I was trying to get clear on that.
You were asking if it was a booster meeting. I'm saying all the parents, I believe, joined boosters because that's what we do in San Marino, is we join boosters, we support the program, but they were not on the booster board. I happened to be the president and Daisy happened to be the treasurer. Devin was a statistician and Phil was the freshman liaison, but that was not the purpose of the meeting.
And the purpose of the meeting,
Was, again, to discuss this information about Coach Turner and what, if anything, to do about it.
and the packet that you received, did you receive it from Mr. Escamilla as a packet?
On that night, yes.
And describe what that packet looked like. And I don't mean the contents of it. Was it an envelope? Was it in a box? Was it, how did you receive it?
In a manila envelope.
Was it rubber banded? If you recall?
I don't know.
You're not a law enforcement officer, are you?
No.
And was that the first time you had seen the materials that Mr. Escamilla brought to that meeting?
No.
When did you first see them?
As I told you, I did my own research about and discovered the restraining order lawsuit. And I maybe
was
saw the
that?
rest of the documents. If all, I'm not sure if I saw all of them or just a portion of them. I would say within a week of that meeting.
And when did you do your own research and find the restraining order documents?
Obviously, sometime before that meeting. I had I don't know what I want to say, witnessed Coach Turner acting strangely at our freshman parent meeting because he thought one of the parents was trying to serve him with documents, and so he was acting strangely. We found out later that's why he was acting strangely. So there was already, by the time I received these documents and did my own research, some indication that there was some funny business going on.
So you've had a sense for quite a while that there's something wrong with Mr. Turner, isn't that right? From the beginning of his time seeking clearances in the district, isn't that right?
I'm sorry, what? Say that one more time.
That you had concerns about Mr. Turner before he even started with the district? When he was going, you were raising concerns about him early on?
No, this was in August.
Correct, but I'm saying going back, we've heard your testimony today. It seems that you've had concerns about him that raised before he even started with the district. Is that right?
I had no opinion of Nate Turner before I met him. I was concerned that the district was hiding something about our coach because things that they had said they were going to do were not being done and they were not being transparent and people were freaking out. But I did not know the man, so I had no opinion about him. I didn't form opinions about him personally until after I met him, and then he became our coach actively.
Before you formed any opinions, would you say that you were allaying concerns or fostering concerns with the parents that were coming to you
I'm
about?
sorry. Did you say relaying concerns?
Allaying,
Oh, okay.
allaying or fostering concerns?
Before I met him?
No, when parents were coming to you asking about him and about what was going on with coaching.
You're asking me what were my concerns?
No, I'm asking you whether when they came to you and rumors were swirling, whether it was your role as the president did you try to allay those concerns or did you foster those concerns?
I did neither. I said, I don't know what's happening. I urged the parents to reach out to the district themselves because I did not have information, and it had nothing to do with Coach Turner as a person. It had to do with the district and our delay in getting the football program up and running.
Did Mr. Escamilla tell you that the documents he provided had confidential documentation within it?
That was not discussed.
Did you do anything yourself to evaluate the documents that you received to determine if they were public
Well, I knew they were because I saw some of them myself. The ones that I had not seen myself, I did not.
So you research for a living, you testified earlier, correct?
Yes,
But you didn't do any research to determine whether these documents were confidential, privileged documentation about Mr. Turner?
no,
Are you familiar with Penal Code 13304?
maybe. What is it?
It is a penal code section that makes it a misdemeanor for any person to receive confidential criminal information.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that, but I believe it exists if you just said it.
Where did Mr. Escamilla get the records that he provided you?
I have no idea.
You didn't ask him?
No.
Why not?
It was not important to me. The only thing that was important is to know the information.
So you were prepared to turn records over to the district that were damaging to Mr. Turner without knowing where they came from?
I think these records are damaging to our children. So
Well,
yes,
that's not my question.
yes,
I
sorry, if
appreciate-
I could finish.
No, you.
We were prepared to turn them over to the district to hopefully allow them to contemplate what is in these records and to make an informed decision about whether this individual should be in charge of our children, not to mention on campus with young women. I only have sons, but I can tell you that if a lot of parents knew that the lunch guy or whatever he did during the day on campus had not one but multiple complaints about abuse with women, that they would have something to say about it.
Now, again, you're a lawyer and you know the difference between allegations and fact, correct?
Correct?
And that restraining order request is nothing more than allegations until it's been determined by a trier of fact. Isn't that correct?
I understand that the application for a restraining order was based on allegations. I
And-
also understand that there were more than one person making the same allegations over the course of several years, which leads me to conclude that there might be a little bit more fact basis for the allegations.
And that's just your speculation.
No, it's
on-
based on my experience as a lawyer. When I have clients who are accused of something by one person, it's much different than if they're accused of something by 5 people.
Ooh, if your clients only heard that. Would you take a look at Exhibit 11, please? Do you see what that is? It's a Superior Court document in the Bell versus Turner matter.
I see it, yes?
Do you see what it says? There being no appearance by or for petitioner, the petitioner's request for restraining order is discharged.
Yes, I saw that.
Do you see that it says all temporary restraining orders, if any, are dissolved?
I see that.
So there was no order on the TRO that you pulled from the court or wherever you pulled it. I should ask you where you pulled it, but there's no order on that.
I
correct?
also looked after this hearing to see what happened. Because when Linda threatened to cancel our season and we didn't go forward with that meeting, the next step that we said is, let's see what happens with this hearing. And I remember it being September 5th because that's my son's birthday.
So Linda never threatened to cancel the season.
Yes, she
to
did.
You, let me finish my question, please. To you, you never heard that, did you?
No, I did not.
So you don't have any personal knowledge of that statement, correct?
No, but you can call Steve Park and he'll tell you.
Working not to step on each other's lines so I can get all. the
Sorry about
words.
that.
Yes, and we both should know better.
Yes, we should.
Where did you get the temporary restraining order papers?
From the LA County Superior Court webpage.
So you went to the docket
Yes,
and what else did you find?
everything that was filed in that case. I found the attorney's name and information.
I'm sorry. You can finish.
Anything that was filed in that case.
And your testimony as you saw the September 5th order as well? Did I understand that correctly?
I looked on the docket after September 5th. Because again, the next step was going to see if something got entered or not. And I did see that it essentially did not go forward.
So your declaration states that, and this is, you can look at it, it's 51. That Patrick Escamilla made it clear he didn't want Leda Escamilla involved. Did not want to involve her, is his statement, is what you state.
Yes.
Involve her in what?
In any discussions that we were having about Nate Turner.
Did he say why he didn't want her involved?
No,
You have no idea why he wouldn't want her involved,
you'd have to ask him.
but you don't know.
No, this is another one of those. I have no personal knowledge.
Fair enough. And it's your testimony that she didn't come to your house on August 27th?
I don't think Leda's ever been to my house.
Okay. Would you be surprised to know that she told an investigator she received the packet at your home from some unknown white male parent?
I would have to know what she said about that. It might have been at a booster party that I had after a football game. I believe maybe Leda was there for a booster football party after a football game.
And received a packet of information from
You'd have to
an
ask her.
unknown-
I'm not sure.
Well, I'm not, would you be surprised to hear that was stated?
I have no idea what happened.
Okay.
Again, no personal knowledge of what was given to her. All I know is I did not give her anything.
So do you have negative feelings towards the district?
About what?
Really anything. It seems that your testimony reflects negativity towards the district.
I think the district, specifically Linda, handled this whole Nate Turner thing very poorly. I think that issues were being brought up even after not even having to deal with this to Dr. Wolf as well, and he ignored them. I think that the proof is in the pudding, so to speak, because he ditched us during the middle of the next summer season. He already took another job and then lied about it and was seemed to everybody that he was taking advantage of two salaries. So as a taxpayer, I don't like that.
Let's go back to my question, which is about your feelings towards the district. You may have feelings about Nate Turner. That seems apparent, but in terms of the district.
I was answering your question. The district handled this Nate Turner mess poorly. I have other feelings about generally some other things that have nothing to do with Nate Turner having 3 kids in the district.
And you don't have any human resources training, do you?
Oh, I do. I'm an employment lawyer.
You're an employment lawyer, do you? But you don't represent public school districts, is that right?
Correct.
So you're not familiar with the laws governing human resources for public entities or public school districts?
Only to the extent they overlap with private companies. So I am extremely familiar with employment laws in California
Like
regulating.
privacy,
Sorry?
personnel privacy?
Of course.
And do you know that Coach Turner left because he felt there was a hostile environment here? Are you aware of that?
I know that's what he says.
And you're not aware of any complaints that have been filed with the district regarding Mr. Turner, correct?
Regarding Mr. Turner,
Turner.
meaning against him or
Correct.
by him?
Correct.
Which one?
Either, but against him.
Against him, a formal complaint other than, I don't know what you would call this, but this was one. So I'm aware of that, obviously. I do not know what any other parents did formally or informally. But I know that some parents were reaching out to, I believe, Dr. Wolf about various complaints they had during the season. I was not a party to those, though.
So you testified that you wanted to collaborate with the group of parents that were at your home on August 27th regarding the materials in the packet. Is that correct?
Yes,
And what does collaboration mean to you?
it means discuss it and all have a meeting of the mind, so to speak, a free flow exchange of ideas and opinions, and then make an informed decision collectively about what to do, if anything.
And as I understood your testimony, that collective decision was that you didn't want this guy serving as a mentor and coach to our boys, is that?
Yes, I believe that is how Steve Park phrased it.
But all these boys stayed on the team, isn't that right?
I think a couple of them actually quit during the season, but
Would you be surprised to know that none of them quit?
I can tell you one, Reef Moniz Stark, I think it was his name. He quit in the middle of a game, and that was specifically because of Coach Turner. In fact, I passed by him when he was crying to his parents about how awful Coach Turner was. And I believe Sage, I can't remember his last name, also quit on that day. Same reason.
And there are no complaints. I can, well, strike that. Now, I understood your testimony, at least as to your boys, because you can't speak on behalf of others, isn't that right?
Well, it
Well,
depends what
let's
you're
back it
asking me.
up. No, that was a terrible question. You can't speak on behalf of other parents, can you?
Well, it depends what you're asking me.
Well, I can ask you what somebody said to you, but in terms of what other parents think, believe, want, don't want, unless they've expressly stated that to you, you don't know that, correct? And you can't speak on their behalf.
Well, I can tell you what they've told me.
That's
But
right.
correct, I don't, you'd have to, I have no personal knowledge of what's in their head unless they told me.
And were there concerns for safety? Is that what I understood you to say, that there was concerns over Mr. Turner, that he was unsafe somehow?
Yes,
But it was more important to have students stay in an unsafe position than to forego recruiting? Is that your testimony?
no, my testimony is that people started doing some additional things, like Phil Piccinini started going to every practice to oversee, to make sure. Other unsafe things, for example, another thing that was a tremendous concern was that he was having, I talked about the water, having these long practices in August and September when it was 110 and 115 on the turf and not giving adequate water breaks. I know I sent emails to Linda about that.
Didn't you testify that that was PT affiliates and not a district program?
It became, no, what I said is Linda said she couldn't handle it until we came back to school, and it was PT affiliates. There's a whole email chain about this. But then once we came back in August, it was the district problem, let's say. So the other thing that was happening is Nate Turner was having some of the younger players, my son included, play in the JV game and then having them go to the varsity practice after, because they were also going to suit up for the varsity game, which made them be, I believe I think Phil looked it up. It's a CIF violation because his son was also one of these people with my son, who played a 3 or 4 hour game and then went to a 3 or 4 hour practice with no break and no food, nothing. So
Well-
that was an issue also that was brought up to, I believe Dr. Wolf, it did not stop. The thing that stopped was they stopped playing JV. They just played varsity.
Well, you mentioned CIF, and a lot of the players got a lot of press about going to CIF. Isn't that true? lot of
Well, the whole team went to
attention.
CIF, yes.
Correct. And in fact, the Escamilla's son got a lot of press. Isn't that right?
Nick was a very good player, yes.
Got a lot of press for being successful in the, on the team. Isn't that right?
The team did win, yes.
No.
Except for that game that Coach Turner came to 2 minutes before that we should have won.
You would hope they would win. I have nothing further.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Any questions?
None.
No. Thank you.
I have a question.
Oh, sure.
Just a couple. Hi.
Hi.
Number one, I know you testified that you don't know where, Pat Escamilla received the documents, but did you know that he was in law enforcement?
Yes.
Did you assume that that's where they came from?
No, I didn't make any assumptions.
Okay. And then secondly, you wanted the district to make an informed decisions using those documents.
Well, I thought it was something the district should consider because it was troubling to me and a lot of other parents who saw them. And I would think that the district would want to know all the information then instead of sweeping it under the rug.
And do you feel that it was swept under the rug
100%.
by somebody in particular, or?
Linda Delatorre, when she threatened to cancel the season if we came forward, Steve Park came forward with the documents and made it a thing at the meeting where she had to have an attorney present.
When you were saying the district was being non-transparent early on in the hiring, was that a specific person?
My only communication was with Linda and Jason at that point. And I believe Linda included Shelley Ryan at some point on some correspondence, but I don't know where she came in. Sorry. I don't know where she came in on the email chain.
In the past, had you been involved in any other football coach hiring at San Marino High School or any other high school?
Oh, no.
Okay, so in my mind, which you can correct me or not, in your opinion, it seems like something that wouldn't involve the superintendent in the first place. It seems like a personnel issue on campus. And do you know why it got elevated?
So I believe the first time I met Linda in person was when we had a meeting with Coach Turner, and that was, as the council referred to when I said a shakedown for money. That is, I think, the first time I've ever met Linda Delatorre in person. I had met Jason several times in connection with football before that. So I would say that's when she got involved. When it was about,
At your request or at his request?
oh, no, I didn't.
He pulled her in?
No, Jason Kurtenbach set up the meeting. I didn't really know it was to meet the person who was up for the coaching position, who had already been announced as our coach, but hadn't really accepted it yet. But the whole point of the meeting was to discuss how he could make more money as the head coach if he took the job, because as we know, the stipend's not very much. And Linda was talking about what I would call the good old days when her sons were playing football and there was 150 kids in the program. And during the summer, if you charge each family $500, you can make $40,000 or whatever from summer alone. But it proved to me that she was pretty out of touch with the football program because we only had 38 kids at that point in time. So at that meeting, that's the first time I ever heard her speak other than when she's as superintendent and it's publicized all over San Marino. But that is the first time I met her and ever had to deal with her with the football issues. And then after that, Jason left, and then she was the conduit. I don't know what you want to call it, but she expressed that we should escalate issues to her because also there was no principal.
Okay, and the informed decision that you testified about not being in contact with the children, what do you see as what that decision would have been? I mean, knowing that the job is being in contact with children.
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. The informed decision about for the district or for us, the parents?
You said you wanted to show these documents to the district to make, so that they could make an informed decision about not having them around the children.
Well, about if
That-
this, if this information
Huh.
bears any weight on whether this employee around children, including our young sons and also young women of the school, if it was something that should be considered,
You mean in letting him go.
at least considered. At least considered, and if they made the decision, we don't care, we're just gonna keep going, then fine. But we were, instead of, I guess, letting all the other parents know so they can make their own decisions and, you know, about keeping their kids on the team or whatnot, we thought it was the best course of action to give Linda the benefit of the doubt that maybe some of this would be concerning. Maybe there'd be some sort of investigation and more information could come out. But that's not the route that she took.
Seems like that didn't happen.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Sorry, strike that. Take it back.
Do you mind putting the mic a little?
Sure, sure.
Thank you.
So I guess what I would like to get clarity on, because we have been going back and forth between the meeting on August 27th and then the distribution of the packet at the high school on the 29th. The plan with Steve Park and your meeting was to talk to Linda first.
He did talk to her. He told her, he set up a meeting.
And I think in his email, which is one of the exhibits, maybe 11, I'm not sure, but that he was going to distribute it to the parents on the 30th if that meeting didn't go well, you were going to decide to do something like that. Is that
I'd have to see his email. I don't even know if I got a copy of that.
okay?
So
So I
I
just
know
want-
that the
yeah.
first order of business was, because it was discussed about, as parents who know this, I will call it pretty damning information, like, if we were a parent who didn't know this, would we want to know? Do parents have a right to know about this stuff so they can, again, make decisions about, you know, impacting that, whether it impacts their kids or not? Instead of just doing that, we were going to go to Linda, who had said up until this point, open door, you know, come to me with anything sort of thing. So I don't know. I don't think there was a plan beyond that meeting for what was going to happen, although it was discussed. Let's allow the district, Linda, to know all this information, do some more investigating if that was the case, and then possibly, if nothing was done, to then let the parents know that this information exists. But nothing was ever done. In fact, I think the majority of the parents in the football program never knew anything about any of Coach Turner's background.
And your reason for not having all of the parents at that meeting to discuss the information was what?
It was new information that I wanted to just discuss with those people that were at my house, who I knew personally and well, and I trusted their opinions, and they, I knew they would they would take it and we could have a discussion about it and figure out what to do. At that point, I didn't see the need to disseminate this packet of materials to all the parents.
So was the district given a chance to investigate, have some time before it was taken further? I mean, what was your idea of a time frame of that?
Well, it was supposed to be at the meeting that Steve was going to with Linda, and he gave her the packet beforehand. And then in response, she said, if you're going to move forward with this, I'm going to have to cancel the season.
So it sounds like we should talk to her or him about firsthand from that, but
Yes.
but it didn't exactly go to plan with.
So the meeting never happened with Steve. So because she threatened to cancel the season.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That's all.
Anything further of this witness?
Nothing further.
No, you're on.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I get a spelling for
Sure.
you. You mentioned a player.
Piccinini?
No,
Oh,
Reed.
oh, Reeve. It's not for you. I just,
His middle name.
it's like a high. Oh. I think that's it.
Okay, thanks.
That's the best.
And
of my
then somebody else
recollection.
was Sage.
Sage,
SAGE.
Okay, I don't know
thanks.
his last name. Can't remember it.
I don't know how many more. Okay. Yeah, can we please take a 5-minute break?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. 5-minute break.
Yes, Joanna is.
Joseph Wong.
WONG.
Correct.
Would you raise your right hand and be sworn?
It's
Swear
okay.
to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
No problem.
State your full name for the record, please.
Joseph Sire Wong.
Joseph, thanks for coming today. My name is Guy Glazier. We just met out in the hallway for the first time, but I understand that you have some testimony that you'd like to give about Miss Leda Escamilla. Well, let me ask you this first. Are you a student at San Marino High School?
Not anymore. I graduated for the class of 2023.
So, okay, about 2 years ago.
Correct.
How do you know Ms. Escamilla?
I know her as the nurse. I reference her as Mama Nurse. I've known her for about 4.5, 5 years, and she was my comfort at school.
Give a little more detail to that. How did she serve as a comfort to you at school?
I usually would go in there on my on our snack and our lunch break and visit with her and talk to her. I come from a family of 2 dads, so she was really like a motherly figure for me. So I could always talk to her about anything related to girls or just anything that I needed to get off my chest that I couldn't tell my family.
Did Miss Escamilla actually give you good advice about girls?
Absolutely.
Would you say that Ms. Escamilla made your school years a more positive experience for you?
Absolutely. It was a highlight of my day to go into her office.
What do you think about Ms. Escamilla's commitment to and passion for the missions of San Marino Unified School District and the success of its students?
She's completely dedicated, hardworking every single day to make sure that every student has a good experience on campus.
Would you say that San Marino High School was a better place because of Ms. Escamilla?
Absolutely. Like I said, she was my comfort when I was there.
Great. Thank you. I have no other questions.
Good afternoon. I just have a quick question. Do you know what this hearing is about?
Yes and no.
What do you know about it?
I know it involved one of our previous staff members.
Okay. No further questions.
Anything further?
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
What was your middle name?
Sire, SALYER. YER. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jacqueline, JACQUELINE. Last name is Lau, LIAO.
raise your right hand to be sworn? Swear to tell the truth, the truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
State your full name for the record, please.
My name is Jacqueline. Last name is Liao, Liao.
Are you a San Marino high school parent?
Yes.
Do you have children currently in the high school?
Do I have children where?
Do you have children currently in the high school?
No.
Your son JT or Justin Liao, JT Liao, he went to the high school, right?
Yes, he went through Carver, HMS, and high school.
Okay. And where is he now?
He's at Northeastern.
Northeastern
Austin.
University.
Yes.
Great. You know Ms. Leda Escamilla, correct?
Leda, yes.
And I understand that you have prepared a statement that you'd like to read.
Yes, I do.
Go ahead, please.
Okay.
Please read it slowly.
Okay. Dear members of the board, my name is Jacqueline Lau, and I am the mother of Justin Lau. Most people know him as JT. I'm here today to speak on behalf of Health A Leda Escamilla, whose presence at San Marino High School gave me the reassurance and peace of mind that every parent hopes for. For the 7 years JT attended Huntington Middle School and San Marino High School, Leda Escamilla's presence significantly eased my worries as a parent. As a single mother, a single parent, sending my child off to school each day came with a certain worry. However, Leda's dependable presence provided reassurance, comfort, and a sense of security that I deeply valued. Knowing that Leda was there, consistently present and fully attentive, gave me the confidence that JT, along with all other students, as someone genuinely looking out for their well-being and her ability to handle every situation with the best balance of professionalism and care, reassured me that my son, along with every other student, was in capable hands. Her reliability and consistent care meant the world to me and is a shared sentiment across many families. Leda was always present, always dependable, and I knew I could count on her. There wasn't one instance where a situation was mishandled or where her care was anything less than exceptional. She treated every case, no matter how big or small, with the same level of dedication and compassion as if the students were her own. Leda's care always went beyond merely administering medical attention. She showed a genuine concern for each student's emotional health and compassion. Whether JT encountered nausea in the middle school at HMS, or if he had a sports injury at the high school, Leda immediately took care of the situation, calmly updating me throughout the process, demonstrating not only medical competence, but genuine empathy and awareness. Her handling of situations was never transactional. It was always authentic and efficient. Many families share my deep appreciation for Leda's consistency and thoroughness. There was never a moment when her care fell short, nor any instance of negligence or oversight. Her reliability is exceptional, and her integrity is unquestionable. This nurturing and warm environment wasn't something she offered to just 1 or 2 students. It was something she extended to every child that entered her office. Leda ensured that parents like myself could rest easy, knowing that our children had someone looking out for them. And this wasn't just a one-time occurrence. This was Leda every single day. Always delivering care that was thorough, thoughtful, and exceptional. This kind of dedication is very rare. And it is precisely what all of our schools and our school district need more of and not less. Leda's consistent dedication didn't just comfort me and comforted countless families who felt assured knowing that she was there each day. Her care wasn't just the best available, it was the kind of care our school district deeply needs, but too rarely sees. Losing Leda wouldn't just be losing a health aide. It would mean losing someone who defines what true excellence in care looks like. Leda's presence has modeled to those students what it means to conduct your work with passion, integrity, and genuine empathy each and every day. Losing her wouldn't simply mean losing a dedicated professional. It would be a profound disservice to our students, our families, and our entire community. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
Just one. Do you know what this hearing is about?
Yes.
What is it about?
What is it about? It's about how you guys described it on your agenda on the school board district website about Leda being accused of how she obtained her information.
Thank you. That's all I have for you.
Anything further this witness? Thank you.
Thank you.
You're reading so beautifully.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank
She's taking
you.
everything down. So
I assume that.
helped,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
First one to follow her instructions too.
Oh, I'm a mom.
We're a little bit ahead of schedule now, so let me just make sure I got it.
Your full name?
James Wallace,
LLACE.
Boitnott.
Oh.
BLOIPNOT.
Do you raise your hand to be sworn, please? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Thank you. State your full name for the record, please.
James Wallace, Boitnott.
Mr. Boydnott, how do you do? Good afternoon. My name is Guy Glazier. I represent Ms. Leda Escamilla. Your son, Joseph Wong, just testified. I'd like to ask you, how do you know Leda Escamilla?
Just through my son, what my son has told me about her and the experience when my son was slapped by one of the teachers here at the school.
And tell us a little bit about that situation and
Okay,
how Leda handled it.
My son was in middle school and the head of the music department, I forget his name, he slapped my son and another child across the face in class. And my son didn't report it to me. He went to school the next day and I think he told nurse, I know that's what Joseph had a name for her, nurse mama or mama nurse or something. And so since she reported it to the principal and the principal called me and explained what had happened. And I mean, we were ridiculed, we were called liars, and all kinds of ridiculous things happened with my son. But the one person that my son felt that he could talk to and that he trusted in this whole situation was Mama Nurse, because he's felt like the pretty much the school. Now, not Linda Delatorre. She was very helpful and very much stayed in contact with me. But as far as the students at the school, as far as some of the faculty at the school, I actually pulled my son out for several days because he felt threatened. And you saw my son, he's a big boy. But the one person that my son felt that he could talk to and help him deal through all of this was Lydia. Is it Lydia? Because I don't even know her, to be honest with you. I think we've only ever spoke high at football games other than that. But I know that when we came in for a meeting with the principal, he asked my son, is there anyone that you would like to have present teacher-wise that would make you feel good or make you feel more comfortable? And she was the one that my son asked to be there at that time. And she was the one that reported the incident. And although this was a very popular teacher here at the school, in fact, he's still here. And he's also, I think, been promoted. He's the music director. I don't know what his name is. Don't care what his name is. But she was the one that really stood up for my son and made my son feel safe and comfortable in an environment that was that could have become very, very volatile here at the school.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
I have no questions.
I'm hard of hearing, so you'll need.
Oh, I have no questions for you. Thank you.
And you are?
I'm the attorney representing the district.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. Who was the principal at the time?
Nice. She was nice too. What was her name? Oh shoot. My memory is not as good as it used to be. I've had some health issues, but I can see her face. She was the assistant principal at Valentine, and then she moved over here as to the middle school as principal.
4A, maybe? Is it 4A? Alana?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that was
Okay.
her.
Thank you. Alana 4A,
Right, yeah.
Faure. Thank you.
Jameson, Mr. Jameson is the music director that slapped my son and another child across the face. And he, like I said, he's still employed by the school. And one of the things that my son had asked for, we were told that we were going to press charges. We never said we were going to press charges against anybody at the school. We did not press charges. The one thing that we asked for, my son asked for an apology from him, and which he, to this day, has never received from him. But again, what made my son want to come back to school and feel safe was Mama Nurse. A question you wanted to ask me?
No, I have no questions for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything further?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now we're way ahead of set schedule, so I may need a half hour, but let me see if I got a witness. Maybe we could take about a 30-minute break. I have 3 more witnesses, all scheduled for 3:30 PM, and I can run through those witnesses about as quickly as I've done so far.
That's one person tried to get in.
Oh, is there somebody coming? Maybe I got one.
Then check it out.
Oh, yeah. Different.
30 minutes? You have nothing more to fill in with now?
You know what? Let me introduce my last exhibit because it is JT Lau's reference letter, and his mom just testified, so this is a good time for that. So this will be exhibit 55.
Oh.
No, it was just.
No, that's a
No.
different.
Do you want a copy of that one?
No. No, you got that one, yeah. I might be able to use, well, no, actually, I think I need Dr. Delatorre. Wanted to respond to your question about the social security number yesterday, but I'll need Dr. Delatorre to enter the exhibit, so it'll have to wait. So apologies.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Is it Dr. Delatorre available?
Are we on the record?
Oh, yes, actually.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, is the Dr. Delatorre available right now for the witness?
I believe she is. My concern is that I don't know what other witnesses you have. And I'd like to be able to question her
It's gonna
regarding
be-
all of their witnesses.
It's gonna be just friends and, testify her good behaviors, maybe that we can.
Right, I've got 1 teacher, 1 student, 1 parent, and I expect that they will be as quick as the witnesses that we've just seen, so probably a grand total of, 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay, so it's gonna be similar to what we seeing, right? So I
Correct.
mean, I think Dr. Delatorre can be here then. It's not gonna be conflict, I think.
Okay, so just to be clear, they're character witnesses?
Correct.
Okay. If that's the pleasure of the board, I will take her now and we can move forward.
Yes, please.
If available.
Yeah.
So the next witness you have is in about 10 minutes?
25, I think. Well, in about 25 minutes, but yeah, the 3 witnesses together will probably take 15 to 20 minutes total once they get here.
Okay. And then that's it, right? Or you have more?
Oh, I got a whole nother day. You didn't know that?
Well, I would like,
No, that's it.
I'm the one, because I in charge of the multiple organization, time management is very important for me. So these 2 days, I'm not satisfied about the time management issue,
Yes.
I hope that if you make sure the 3 is coming. Yeah, I don't want the later they say that need to extend another hour, yeah.
Right.
I will adjourn the meeting, yeah, if they are not come in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you understand. After this meeting, I still have a lot of things I have to call for. There's a patient, they get a cancer, I have to arrange for the inpatient, yeah.
Yeah.
So time is very essential for me, yeah.
Yes, very much appreciated, sir.
Thank you.
I think we move further to- Does she need to be sworn again or?
Or am I still good?
You're still under oath.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
Let's see, we can, maybe I'll hand this to you. Dr. De La Torre, what is that document?
Hang on, can I get a copy?
Yes, of course. She's gonna be passing. them.
This is a high school map.
Of San Marino High School? And does that show where the field office is?
Hold on one second.
I know it's.
Sorry,
very-
I didn't bring my glasses in here. I apologize.
Is this entered as 56?
This, I'll ask to be entered as 56.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, and does it also show the main office?
Yes,
And those are, they have a marking on them, each of those, correct?
correct.
Okay, so the field house has a circle around it. And the main office has a square or an X. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna ask that this be admitted as exhibit 56.
Any objections?
Only to the extent that this doesn't appear to reserve, to serve as rebuttal to any.
Well, I'll admit it.
Rebuttal.
Rebuttal, thank you.
Dr. De La Torre, you testified yesterday you received a packet of materials from Mr. Park, is that correct?
Yes.
And what your understanding regarding where that packet came from is what?
From a party that was, or a gathering that was held at Cassie Zapatorino Morning's home.
Okay, and in review, you looked at those documents, isn't that right?
Yes,
And in those documents was an incident report?
yes, from the sheriff's department.
Okay. You did want to. This will be marked as 57. And do you see on that document, well, let's wait till everybody has a copy, including me. Do you see where on this document there's a social security number referenced?
Yes,
And what is the title of the document that includes the social security number?
Los Angeles County Jail Booking and Property Record.
Thank you. And unfortunately, this is not Bates stamp, so I can't give you the pinpoint page, but it looks like it is.
Can you repeat one more time? What page is it?
Page 7. I'll move that be entered as exhibit 57.
It's not right.
Oh, that's a citation.
Yeah.
Is it admitted as 57, please?
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, received.
Thank you.
Can you point me one more time? We still
Yes.
couldn't find it.
Page 7.
Yeah.
To.
Is it page 7 is the Los Angeles County Jail booking record?
Correct.
Yeah.
And if you look about halfway down the page,
Oh, right there. Look at the handwritten.
there's a handwritten social security number, then it says none seen, then it says kinesiology
Thank you.
instructor.
So
Okay.
this one was original packet?
Correct.
Okay, what was not in the packet? Okay, I got it.
Dr. De La Torre, when Steve Park came to you with the packet of materials, did you tell him you would have, that if they moved forward with this, that you would have to cancel the football season?
No,
You didn't threaten to cancel the football season based
No.
on the packet of materials you
No.
received?
no, never.
There was testimony today that Jeremy Cisneros is not the boyfriend or was not the boyfriend of Cassandra Zappatorino. And did you have reason to believe that he was in fact her boyfriend?
Yes.
And what was that?
Principal Jason Kurtenbach verified that, told me that she was upset about not being allowed to serve on the interview panel because she was campaigning for a candidate, and that candidate was her ex-boyfriend, Jeremy Cisneros. I verified that, as a matter of fact, just to make sure that my recollection was correct. And he reaffirmed that he knew that they had, quote unquote, been hooked up.
Been hooked up,
Mhm.
okay. Did you suggest to, in a meeting of various people involved with the Booster Club, that Ms. Zappatorino had slept with anyone,
No,
former coaches?
no.
Let's talk about the summer football program.
Mhm.
Now, yesterday, I think you testified that Stephanie Duncan runs that program,
Yes,
and that's the PT affiliates program.
yes.
Okay, and how there was testimony today that there was a lack of food and water for boys, both in the district's program and the PT affiliates program. Do you agree with that testimony?
There was a question about the water supply because the water that was running out of the field house, when you turned on the faucet, it was coming out initially as orange in color. So we hired a professional to come out and test the water to see if the water was in fact safe. We did that. The water was safe. But I still asked that bottled water be delivered to the football team. Although the principal was adamant that that should have been something that the boosters were providing for the kids.
So you didn't ignore any needs of the football players?
Absolutely not. I would not want our football players to be without water. My sons both played football at San Marino High School, and I am very much a supporter of the football program.
Excellent. What is the purpose of the Booster Club?
To raise money for the program.
Are there limitations on what that money can be expended for?
There are, they have bylaws. The Booster Club is under the umbrella of Titan Athletic Boosters, which is another separate 501c3. And they have bylaws. So that basically outlines what can and cannot be expended with money that is raised by the students.
Have you ever asked the boosters to contribute to, or did you ever ask the boosters to contribute to Nate Turner's salary?
No, never. No.
So there was not a shakedown of the district or of the
No.
Booster Club to pay for that?
Absolutely not. That would be improper.
I don't have anything further for you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Dr. De La Torre, I see that on the map you circled the girls, oh, you may not have circled it, but
I did not personally.
yeah, the exhibit shows the girls field house circled.
I'm so sorry. I don't have my glasses with me today. The
So
field
it's
house
it's in the northeast corner of the tent of the,
yeah, the field house is in between the football field and the baseball field on the west side.
right, and I think that does say boys field house. And I'm
Your
just
eyes are
wondering,
better than mine.
was the intent here to circle the boys field house or the girls field house? I'm just
The
curious.
boys field house. because-
And yet it is the girls field house that is circled on this.
Yes,
And I was just wondering why.
I don't know. I didn't do it.
Okay.
No clue.
I can tell you it was an error because the print's so small.
It's very difficult to read.
So the intent was to circle the boys field house.
I believe so, yes. Yeah.
Looking at exhibit, the last one, 57, the the incident report,
Yes.
and then page 7, where the social security number appears.
Mm-hmm.
The whole form is printed other than a couple of signatures, except for this social security number, which is handwritten in. Do you see that?
Yes, there's also handwriting where it says vehicle license number, none, where it says, nickname, none, where it says time. And again, I'm so sorry, I need my glasses. Time, booked maybe, BKD, 1805. So there is other handwriting and it appears to be the same handwriting consistent with whomever wrote the social security number on the form. The station clerk is in penmanship as well as the signatures. And then whatever here is in the far right-hand corner, the sheriff's department would probably be better able to answer this than me. This is how I received the form.
Flip to page 2, it's exhibit 2 in binder 1.
Okay.
Again?
2-110. We're gonna go to page 2-110.
Thank you.
So this is the copy of the packet that you testified yesterday was the one that was presented to you. And here we have the same handwriting as appears on the new exhibit 57 in the vehicle license number block and in the AKA nickname block and in the time, I believe it's booked BKD. Oh, did I not let you get to the page?
No, are you just wanting me to focus on exhibit 2, page 10?
110.
110.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we can start over. Exhibit 2, page 110.
2, 110, sorry.
That's all right. No, it's, I rushed you.
Yes.
So do you see there that the handwriting is in there for blocks, vehicle license number and AKA nickname and also time booked at 1805. And that handwriting matches the handwriting on exhibit 57, right?
Check. Well, this appears to be larger on the copy that I received than this copy. This is a smaller print copy of this, so I don't know. This is my original that I received from Mr. Park, photocopied and scanned and sent to council. So I assume this copy came from council.
So yesterday, your testimony was that exhibit 2 was the packet that you received from Mr. Park.
Skimmed it yesterday, to see if the documents were in here, but I did not go through what prompted me to look specifically through my files was, board member, Sung's question specifically about the social security number. Because I had remembered council telling me, that there was the social security number in the documents that were distributed.
But yeah.
I don't want you to testify about what your counsel has told you.
Okay,
You definitely don't
So
want to be doing that.
I went back and looked at my copy and pulled this copy, which has it.
And whose handwriting is it?
I don't know.
Who wrote in this social security number?
Maybe somebody from the sheriff's department. I don't know.
And you don't have any basis to know that it was written in by
I-
somebody from the sheriff's department, do you?
Well, that, I don't know, unless it was somebody at the party, because I got this packet from Dr. Park that he got from the gathering at Cassie Zapatorino's home. So I don't know who wrote that in there, but probably whoever wrote the nun and the 1805, it looks like the same writing to me.
Do you have training in handwriting analysis?
I used to work for a bank and I did have training in handwriting analysis because I needed to verify that signatures on checks were valid. So yes,
You do have experience with,
I have some experience with that. Yes.
have you ever qualified as an expert in handwriting?
No. Mm-mm.
So, I mean, it could be, but it might not be
Yeah.
the same. You gotta let me finish my question, and that's just for the court reporter. She's gonna get very angry at us if we cut each other off. So it could be the same person, but it might not be.
To me, in my experience, it looks like the same writing and I would be comfortable asking a handwriting specialist or expert to verify that.
Do you think that see the number in under the time booked block, it says 1805? And then down on the social security number, obviously starts with the number 5. Is that a comparison you're making? Do you think those two 5s look alike?
The slant on the bottom of the 5 looks very similar, yes.
The slash on the top looks incredibly different, doesn't it?
I'm looking at the slant.
If you look at the 5 in time booked, there's a long vertical line down below the sort of crossbar at the top.
But if you turn them upside down, which is what we're trying to do to verify signatures, it doesn't look that different in terms of the slant.
Right, but let's look at that vertical line on the 5. You see the vertical, there's only one vertical line on the 5 in the time booked block, right? And then let's look down under the social security number. Do you see any vertical line at all on that 5?
A very small one, yes, I do.
And again, we don't know who wrote any of this stuff in, but particularly with the social security number, we don't have any idea who wrote that in, and we don't have any idea when anybody wrote that in. Is that right?
It came to me this way because it was one of the conversations that I initially had, as I mentioned earlier.
And my question is, we don't know who wrote this in or when it was written in, right?
No, but I don't have social security numbers in my office. The only people in our school district that would have social security numbers would be payroll.
And again,
payroll did not have access to this packet, so I know whoever wrote this in was not a district employee.
and I'm not asking who didn't write it in. I'm asking who did write it in.
I don't know.
You
I'm
don't,
assuming the sheriff, whoever wrote this.
and you're assuming that. You don't have any idea who
That's
wrote this
correct.
in.
I'm assuming that. Yeah.
And you don't know when it was written in, do you?
I don't, but I think what's more important to the district is that it was distributed to people with the number, which is private.
But
And
we actually don't know that it was distributed to anybody other than what you received, right? Because everybody who's testified at this hearing has testified that Exhibit 2 is the packet.
I
You're
have
the
other
only one.
packets,
Let
though.
me finish. Everybody who's testified has said Exhibit 2 is the packet. You're the only one who has come forward with a new document with a handwritten in social security number. So my question, Dr. De La Torre, is that you don't know that Exhibit 57 was ever given to anybody other than to you, correct?
Incorrect.
Explain, how do you think,
to
how do you
explain.
know,
Because
let me finish, please let me finish my question.
Of course.
How do you know that Exhibit 57 went to anybody other than you?
Is it my turn?
It is now your turn.
Thank you so much. I know because the packets that Mrs. Escamilla passed out that I collected have the same copy with the social security number. And that is how I know emphatically that this packet with this social security number was in fact distributed to at least 3 other people.
A moment ago, you said this was the exhibit that you received from Dr. Park.
Correct.
Okay.
I received mine from Dr. Park. Dr. Wolf was given a packet by Leda Escamilla.
Right.
Dr. Richter was given a packet by Leda Escamilla. and not doctor, but Mr. Chang was given a packet. So when we opened those packets in my office, same thing.
And then yesterday you testified again that Exhibit 2 was actually that packet. So there is an inconsistency between what you're saying yesterday versus what you're saying today.
So yesterday I did not go. It would have taken me a considerably long time to go line by line. It looked similar to the documents. I think I was asked, I'd have to go back to the transcript, but I think I was asked if this was the packet that was distributed. I wasn't asked if this was exactly the same documents that were distributed. And again, the only reason that I went back to review that was because of Board Member Sung's question specifically about the Social Security number, which I had recalled being part of what the district was told was privileged confidential information that should never have been distributed to members of the school district or
Okay.
members of the public.
But again, we don't know, we have no idea who wrote this, who hand wrote this social security number.
Again, I go back to my earlier comment, which is I assume it was someone from the sheriff's department, which I'm sure could be researched.
Nothing further.
Verified.
Thank you. Dr. Delatorre.
Oh, Wait, wait, I've got a couple of questions
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then I'll turn it
Yeah,
over
yeah,
to you.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Council referred to this document Exhibit 57 as a new document. This isn't in fact a new document, is it?
It is not.
In fact, you received this document on about August 28th, is that correct? From Mr. Park. Is it Dr. Park?
Dr. Park.
Dr.
Yes,
Park.
correct.
And on page 7, where there's various handwriting, there's also a signature, is there not?
Yes.
Where it says prisoner's signature when booked. Do you recognize
Yes.
that, or can you read that?
I can read it, yeah.
What does that say?
That might be Nate's signature. I would have to look back.
And he would know his social security number, you think?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Delatorre, when I look at the driver license number, not the social security number on the
Yes.
top right, that's not handwritten, right?
Correct.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
just.
That's
confirm.
correct.
Yeah. And my second question is I heard from the different testimony, you can see that she got threatened by canceling the football season. It was gonna be, that's the reason why the Dr. Steve Park was stopped communicating with you. Do you know anything about that?
No, I never would have threatened to cancel the football season. I'm not even sure where that's coming from. Dr. Park and I did talk about the fact that, he was feeling, the coach, that he was being pushed out by a group of parents who had decided before he even stepped foot on campus that they wanted to get rid of him. That was what we were hearing. And I said, we're underway with the season. How are we going to continue? And Dr. Park said, I'm willing to step up and coach if you need me to. And I appreciated that very much. And I said, thank you so much. He offered, that was the only conversation that we ever had about the season. Because I was concerned that Coach Turner was going to leave on his own volition because of the way he was being treated very poorly. And it was difficult for him to have to go out there every day knowing that he was being, talked about and disparaged. They were complaining at one point that he was praying with the kids after practice, which we researched through council, and there was a recent lawsuit that makes that actually legal. So just anything and everything that could be brought up or complained about was in fact brought up and complained about. So that's the only thing that I can think of.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
May I ask a question, please? Is it typical practice to redact personal confidential information from exhibits? Do you know? I don't know.
FERPA requires that we do that for all student information. When we are dealing with personnel, there's a lot of records that we would be redacting personal and confidential information in any type of legal proceeding.
There is a reference in the notice to redaction in the notice of intent. That I will have to find, but I will be able to.
So,
find.
so now that you say that, now that you say, I'm sorry again, I don't have my glasses. I keep apologizing for this, but now that you read, that this is the signature of the person booked, he probably was told to write it in. This might be his writing. This might be something that Nate wrote at the time, that he signed this form. I don't know. Just a thought.
If I can have you look at exhibit 18. 18-4.
Yes.
About halfway through, after there's a list of what the documents are that are contained in the packet, there's a paragraph that starts before paragraph 8. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
What does that say?
A copy of the packet is available in redacted form during the proceedings upon request, but will not be reproduced herein in order to prevent republication of privileged/confidential information.
So there was a redacted version of the documents. And I can say that we submitted under seal to avoid the redaction. But that's where that comes from.
Very briefly, going back to exhibit 2-110. I just want to make sure you see that. Oh, I'll let you get there, sorry.
Okay.
2-110 shows that there is that signature, which again, I think you're saying is probably Nate or Nathaniel Turner, and I think I probably agree with you. But this one does not have a social security number indicated on it in any fashion at all.
I thought she just said that it was redacted for the purposes of putting it in this binder. I thought she just explained that, but I could be wrong.
Right, you could be wrong.
I could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just want to point out that there is a signature on this one, but no social security number.
But yeah, I think they redacted this packet of personally identifiable info, right? Did I misunderstand that?
No, you did not
Okay,
misunderstand.
thank you.
And if you look at that same page up at the top where it shows the driver's license number,
Oh, that's missing too.
is also redacted.
Right. So I believe this is a redacted version of the form that I received. That makes sense. Thank you.
Nothing further.
Mystery solved.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Anything further of this witness at this time? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This is right. This is correct. Charlie, I'll check on it.
Okay, full name, please. Sure. Kelly Keto. K-E-L-L-I-E. And last name is Keto, K-I-D. That's a big. Oh, right, yes.
Please raise your right hand to be sworn. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. State your full name for the record, please.
Kelly Keto.
You'll have to speak up into the microphone.
Kelly Keto.
Thank you.
Ms. Keto, my name is Guy Glazier. We just met just a few seconds ago out in the lobby. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
And you immediately said that you thought this might be a little slightly less formal proceeding and you wanted to say something about your attire.
Yes, that is correct.
You just came from work, right?
Yeah, yes, that is correct.
And where do you work?
I work at Huntington Middle School. I am the 7th and 8th grade PE teacher.
And did you just come from PE?
Yes, I did.
Gotcha. Do you know Ms. Leda Escamilla?
Yes, I do.
How do you know her?
Leda was we first met each other as she was our health aide at Huntington Middle School a few years back, as well as she became my assistant cheer coach
At Huntington Middle
at
School?
Huntington Middle School.
So did she, while she worked at the high school, she would come down to Huntington Middle School to act as the assistant cheer coach?
Yes, that is correct.
Gotcha. And what were your general observations of Ms. Escamilla?
She was very devoted to our student, especially our cheer girls. She went up and beyond to assist them, to get them things that if they needed to do. For example, cheer uniforms. If we're doing a presentation, she would create them and make them for us. When we would do like a clinic, we would do the summer clinic, and she would go on beyond and then provide, even though we would argue about, but she would get them donuts, even though I didn't think they were necessary, but she went ahead and she said, Kelly, I got this. And so she would go up and beyond more than what I would do for our squad.
Would you say that Ms. Escamilla has made your school, Huntington Middle School, a more positive experience for the students?
Yes, I would.
What do you think generally about Ms. Escamilla's commitment to the health and safety of the school students that she interacted with?
At the time when she was our health aide, she was very organized in our health aid area when we're going to field trips and whatnot. She knew regarding the students' medications, because we would say if the 8th grade trip was going to Pali, she would organize the containers for each bus with the kids with their medications. So we knew which students to be on alert for in case there was an allergy or if they were asthmatic. She would provide all that information for us before we would go on the trip. She would let the bus people know, because she would always let me know when I was on a bus, here's your kit, here are the kids, just kind of be aware of those students. As far as when we would do sporting events, even though the cheer squad was there, she would be out there with us as well. So she would do double duty, be the health clerk at the time or a cheer advisor. So always on the lookout in case there was an injury or being aware of the students' needs during those events.
Did you have any observations of Ms. Escamilla when she worked at the high school?
No,
You were just at the middle?
just at Huntington.
Okay. Would you say that Huntington Middle School was a better place because of Ms. Escamilla?
I always think Huntington Middle School is a better place for everybody who's there at Huntington Middle School.
Do you think it was a better place because of Ms. Escamilla's
I do,
influence?
yes. When she was with us, I feel like it was a better place.
Great. Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
I just have a quick question for you. She was your assistant cheer coach, is that
Correct.
correct?
Yes.
And that's a paid position, correct?
That is correct.
I thank you.
Anything further of this witness?
Thank you for coming.
Thanks so much.
Sure, I got cheer practice. Oh.
Your Honor, I had two last witnesses scheduled to be here at 3:30. It's now 3:30, 3:44. Can I have 6 minutes? Sure. See if they get here in the next 6 minutes, and then Mr. Chang will definitely move me on.
Maybe we pause then?
Maybe
Maybe we pause for 5?
10-minute break or something?
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Even better.
Thank you.
Your Honor, it appears that my last, are we ready to go?
Is Ms. Lamb on?
It appears that my last two witnesses are not going to make it in time. So I'm ready to proceed to final argument.
Okay,
We're going to request that final argument be by written brief.
And
I'm sorry, I didn't hear all that. Could you?
Yes, we're requesting that the final argument be by written brief.
we'd oppose that request, Your Honor. There's nothing in the Article 16 that authorizes written briefs as final argument. Now is the opportunity that Ms. Evans has to make her argument to the board, and I certainly want to be heard as well.
Just respond to that the collective bargaining agreement is silent on it. It doesn't say it has to be oral, doesn't say it has to be written. It is common practice to do a written brief to be able to cite to the record. And we'd like to have our closing in a written brief, and it's up to the board to decide how you receive the closing.
Well, there's one issue with that. I'm leaving town. Late Monday. And gonna be gone for 3 weeks. So I don't know how soon you would.
Well, the board will be deliberating on this and they'll have the benefit, I mean, it's up to the board to decide how much time to give the parties for a written closing. And then they can schedule deliberations.
Again, Your Honor, it is not common practice to do closing arguments by writing. We need to be heard now, and this is Ms. Evans' opportunity to be heard, and it's my opportunity to be heard in summation.
We don't need written briefs, do we?
Or we can accept.
We'd like to, I mean, we need to decide in caucus, I feel like.
I would ask that the board go into you have the ability to break for closed session and make that decision as a board.
I'd like to discuss,
Okay, let's-
I'd like to discuss it.
Yeah.
Excuse us.
All right, we discussed written or oral briefs, and the board wants written briefs. And how soon could you have those?
10 days?
What,
10 days?
10 days?
I'm thinking. Well, I think we're going to have to ask the court reporter first how long it's going to take to get a final transcript, because it may be a week before that happens. This coming Monday? Oh, okay. In that case, how about if we go 10 days from Monday so that we have 10 days once we have the transcript? 10 days from Monday, let's see.
24.
Monday's the 24th. 2, 3, 4. Okay, that'd be the 3rd of April.
And I'm going to suggest that both parties turn in closing briefs on April 3rd, and that's it. There are no responsive briefs. There are no reply briefs. It's just a closing brief from each side.
Correct.
Okay, and you'll both submit briefs at the same time. There's no back and forth on that, right?
Correct. It's not a briefing schedule. It's just a closing brief.
Yeah. Okay, the briefs will be due on the 3rd. And I guess,
And it's my understanding that there will be no more open session. The briefs will be submitted via email, mail, what,
We'll get them. We'll get them.
we'll get them to us, but it'll just be in writing and we won't
Right.
reconvene. Is
right,
that correct?
yeah,
You'll only reconvene in closed session to deliberate.
Correct.
right.
And
And then there
I-
would be an open session announcement once you have a decision.
Okay.
I don't think
And
we need another open session.
open session, I believe, of a regular scheduled board meeting is what
Oh,
she's.
Yeah, not today. No, I'm not saying today.
time of day when these briefs are due on April 3rd.
I didn't hear you.
The time of day when these briefs will be due on April 3rd.
They'll be due on April 3rd.
Yes, at what time?
5 PM is fine with us. Thank you.
Okay, and what's best? Should they
We'll
bring them here to the board?
we'll ensure that it's delivered to the district office here by 5 o'clock on April 3.
Attention to me.
Should we do hard copy delivery here to the district? That's probably best, right?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Yes, and we'll make sure there are sufficient copies and it'll be to the attention of Board President Chang.
Just for your information, the school district spring break is from the April 7 to April 11.
Well, the office is open on.
Yeah. But I mean, the board meeting, I don't know who. Yeah, but I just let you know that it's either that several days and productive.
Yeah.
For us to attend.
Yeah.
For the response, yeah.
There's a
Time-
lot to it.
Time
Yeah.
management.
Okay, so and there will be no need for the attorneys to come back. You're just submitting your briefs.
I guess so.
Correct.
We'd love to see you back.
You really don't want to see us anymore?
Okay. So we're adjourned at this time unless there's anything further.
Nothing further.
I'd just like to thank the board again for your time. That's 2 solid days and we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you all. for
Thank you.